dear soul. Tonight, you are not merely here to listen. You are here to be remembered, not by another, but by yourself. The one beneath your name, the one beneath your thoughts, the one who watches in stillness. Close your eyes if you wish, or simply soften them. Let the light dim, and the noise of the day settle like dust after the wind. This is not just a collection of stories. This is a temple, not made of stone, but of breath. Every word, a bell. Every silence, a doorway. You have entered a sacred space, though your body hasn't moved an inch. A space where the stories of Zen will not teach you, but undo you. What if peace is not something you gain? What if everything you've been chasing, peace, clarity, strength, silence, was never lost to begin with? What if the true path is not a staircase you climb, but a weight you release? You've been taught to strive, to fix, to figure things out. But Zen is not a lesson to be understood. It is a mirror. And when you stare into it, the noise falls away. The roles you play disappear, and something ancient in you, something so gentle, so powerful, remembers the way back home. Where are you right now? Not physically, not your city, your bed, or your room, but emotionally, spiritually. Where are you? Are you somewhere inside a memory you can't let go of? A thought you wish you could forget? A version of yourself that feels broken? Are you carrying something that was never yours to carry? A sadness? A silence? A secret? And what if, just what if, you don't need to solve it right now? What if your only job is to be here, to listen, to receive, to remember the gentle truth about sadness? Sadness is not your enemy. It's not a sign you failed. It's a sacred signal, a call inward. In Zen, sadness is not something to fight. It is something to sit beside, like an old friend who has walked a long way just to speak to you. Tonight, we will not rush to feel better. We will simply feel. We will listen. We will breathe. We will become soft again. And in that softness, you will discover what was never truly gone. Curiosity lives where control ends. Why do we suffer even when nothing is wrong? Why do we feel empty even when we are loved? Why do we miss things we've never even had? These are not questions to answer. These are gates. And this script, this entire journey, is not a path with steps. It is a return to stillness, a return to breath, a return to the self before the sadness. Let this be your temple. You don't need a monastery. You don't need a robe. You don't even need to understand. All you need to do is stay, breathe, be here. Let the words wash over you. Let the stories undo you. Let the quiet speak to you in the language only your soul understands. And as you fall asleep or drift deeper into presence, remember, you are not broken. You were simply buried beneath the noise. And now, you are returning. Welcome. Again, the journey begins here. Beautiful. Let's continue the journey. Chapter 1. The sound of one hand clapping. There was once a young monk who arrived at the monastery carrying nothing but a single bowl, a pair of sandals, and a head full of questions. He had heard whispers of a master who lived on the mountain, a teacher who spoke in riddles, whose silence was louder than any sermon, and whose gaze made even the most arrogant man forget his name. The young monk had traveled for days, barefoot across rough stone, through forests of whispering bamboo, chased not by wild animals, but by something wilder, his own longing. He had studied scriptures. He had memorized sutras. He had fasted, chanted, begged for wisdom. And still, He did not understand why he felt so empty inside. So when he finally stood before the master, dust on his face, hope in his eyes, he asked, "Master, how do I find peace?" The old man said nothing. Instead, he lifted his hands slowly and clapped, but only once. A single, sharp sound. Then silence. The monk blinked, confused. "Master, I don't understand." The teacher finally spoke. "Tell me, what is the sound of one hand clapping?" The monk was stunned. He had expected a technique, a meditation, an answer. Instead, he received a riddle, a question without logic, a paradox without a solution. That night, he did not sleep. He sat beneath the moonlight, his thoughts spinning like a wheel in wet mud. What does it mean? Is it a metaphor? Is it silence? Is it death? Is it the sound of no sound? He clapped with one hand until his palm stung. He listened to the wind. He cupped his ear to the river, but no answer came. Day after day, he returned to the master, each time with a new guess. Each time, the master simply bowed his head and said, "Number." Weeks passed. The young monk grew tired. The question became a torment. He felt mocked by its absurdity. And then one night, in the depth of his exhaustion, he walked alone to the edge of the cliff behind the temple. He looked out at the valley below, a sea of darkness swallowing the world. He whispered, "I give up. There is no answer." And in that very moment, something shifted. The question dissolved, and in its place, silence. Not silence as in the absence of noise, but silence as in the presence of something else. A vastness, a stillness that could not be spoken. He began to weep, not from sorrow, but from recognition. The sound of one hand clapping was not something to understand. It was something to unlearn. Zen is not an answer. It is an emptying. When you try to explain a riddle, you miss it. When you try to define peace, it escapes you. When you try to heal sadness by force, you only bury it deeper. Zen does not give you something. It takes away everything that isn't real. Like that monk, you may have come here with your own silent question. Why do I feel this way? How do I make it stop? When will it be over? But Zen whispers a different kind of wisdom. Let the question fall apart. Let the mind grow tired. Let your heart speak. Not in words, but in stillness. The paradox of sadness. What if sadness is not asking to be solved, but simply seen? What if the ache inside you is the sound of your soul knocking on the walls you built? What if healing begins when you stop reaching and simply sit beside the ache, like it's an old friend who has finally come home? The sound of one hand clapping is not a sound at all. It is a space, and so is peace, and so is joy, and so are you. Pause and reflect. If you'd like, take a moment now to close your eyes. Breathe in slowly, gently, as if inhaling the wind that moved the monk's robe that night. Exhale as if releasing the need to answer anything. Let the question remain unanswered. Let it become a lantern, not a lock. And know this: in this moment, you are exactly where you are meant to be. Not understanding, not fixing, just being, just listening. Closing the chapter. The master never explained his riddle, because the riddle itself was the teacher. Tonight, you do not need more answers. You need stillness. And in that stillness, a smile may one day rise from the place where your sadness once lived. And that smile, though quiet, will be the loudest sound of all. Chapter 2. What Silence Teaches. You've just heard a story that doesn't ask to be understood. It asks to be felt. The sound of one hand clapping. What is it, really? Is it silence? Is it surrender? Is it nothing or everything? It is the sound that arises when the mind stops demanding logic and the heart begins whispering truth. The mind wants a formula. The soul wants a feeling. We've been taught to measure our sadness, to give it names, labels, timelines. Why am I sad? Is this depression? Is something wrong with me? But in the world of Zen, the question itself is a ripple on the surface. To heal, we must go deeper than the ripple. We must become still, so still that the water becomes clear again. Not by trying, not by effort, but by non-effort. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. When you stop asking the world to fix you, you begin to hear something else. Not a voice in words, but a presence, a knowing. It's the feeling when you sit alone under a tree and the wind brushes your cheek, and somehow, in a way you can't explain, you feel okay. Not fixed, but whole. Have you ever cried? Not because of pain, but because something beautiful reminded you of what you've forgotten. That is what silence teaches. The false idea of getting over it. The world wants you to move on. Be happy. Think positive. Don't dwell. But Zen says, dwell. Sit inside the very room you fear the most. Let your sadness make tea. Let your grief light the incense. Let your ache become your teacher. Because only by dwelling within it, without judgment, without rushing, can you see what is real and what is illusion. Every pain is a mirror. Your sadness is not weakness. It is a reflection. It shows you where you once loved, where you once dreamed, where something once mattered, that hollow feeling inside. It is sacred space. It is not a wound. It is an invitation. Zen does not tell you how to fill it. Zen teaches you how to sit beside it, quietly, until, in that stillness, you realize it was never empty to begin with. How stillness heals. When the storm of thought settles, when the urge to figure it out fades, what remains? Not a solution, but a presence. Not a fix, but a freedom. Stillness is not the absence of emotion. It is the container for all emotion. And when you learn to stay with it, when you sit in the temple of your own breath, sadness transforms. Not by effort, but by presence. A conversation you forgot you were having. Sometimes silence says, I see you. I know it hurts. I am still here. Not the silence of loneliness, but the silence of truth. The kind of silence that doesn't demand you explain yourself. That doesn't rush you. That doesn't call you broken. It holds you like the earth holds fallen leaves. Without shame, without fear. Just a soft yes to whatever you are feeling. That is healing. That is Zen. A gentle practice, optional. If your eyes are closed, keep them that way. If not, let your gaze soften. Notice your breath, not to change it, just to notice. Feel your body as it is. Feel the sadness as it is. No fixing, no labeling, just breath. Just now. You don't need to be better to be whole. Repeat this softly in your mind, if it helps. I am not broken. I do not need to solve this. I am allowed to feel. I am allowed to be still. I am allowed to be here fully as I am. Final thought for this chapter. There is a kind of healing that only comes when you stop trying to heal. There is a kind of peace that cannot be earned, only remembered. And sometimes, the sound of one hand clapping is simply your soul saying, I'm here. I never left. Stay with this silence, dear one. There is more to come, and you are not alone in this. Chapter 3. The Empty Teacup. There was once a man who traveled a great distance to visit a Zen master. He was not a monk, nor a seeker of enlightenment. He was a scholar, well-educated, highly respected. He had read many books, given many lectures, and he believed that wisdom was something to be gathered, like rare coins tucked into the folds of his mind. When he arrived at the temple, he bowed politely to the master, though not too deeply, and without waiting, he began speaking. He spoke of philosophy, of science, of meditation, of morality, of psychology, of enlightenment. He explained his views on human emotion, his theories on suffering, his conclusions on sadness. He talked and talked and talked. The master simply nodded. He said nothing. After a while, he offered the scholar tea. They sat on cushions in a quiet room. A kettle began to hiss, and the master gently poured the tea. The scholar extended his cup. The master filled it, then kept pouring. The tea reached the rim, then spilled over, onto the table, onto the floor, onto the scholar's fine robe. "Stop!" the scholar shouted. "It's full. No more can go in." The master paused, then softly said, "Like this cup, you are full of your own opinions and assumptions. How can I show you Zen unless you first empty your cup? When the mind is too full to receive, sadness, like tea, must be held gently. But when the cup is already full of beliefs, of resistance, of analysis, of judgment, nothing new can enter. You may be here tonight with a cup full of expectations. This video must heal me. I need to understand my sadness. Something has to change. But Zen doesn't give you something new. It removes what no longer serves you. What are you holding that blocks peace? Are you holding on to guilt? A story about yourself? A memory you replay every night like a song with no end? A belief that you are not enough? These are the things that fill the cup, and the more full it becomes, the less space there is for joy to return. Not because joy is far away, but because there is simply no room. The Zen way is the way of unlearning. You don't need to learn how to be happy. You don't need to figure out how to heal. You need to let go of the beliefs that say you can't. You need to release the idea that sadness means failure. You need to loosen your grip on every thought that whispers, "This feeling will last forever." What if healing is not about adding more knowledge, but about removing the noise, emptying the cup, a sacred ritual? Right now, in this moment, imagine you are holding a small ceramic teacup in your hands. It's warm, delicate, and full. Now gently begin to pour it out. Let the tea spill softly into the earth. Let go of the heaviness. Let go of the stories. Let go of the conclusions. Empty it completely. And notice what arises in the emptiness. It may feel like peace. It may feel like stillness. Or it may feel like nothing at all, which is the perfect place to begin again. When the cup is empty, life enters. Have you ever walked into a room without expectation and been surprised by beauty? Have you ever sat with someone in silence and somehow felt understood? Have you ever stopped trying to figure everything out and suddenly felt free? That is what happens when the mind is no longer full. That is what Zen teaches. A whisper to carry with you tonight. Empty the cup. Empty the noise. Empty the need to fix yourself. You are not here to be improved. You are here to be unveiled. And underneath the full cup, underneath the roles, the thoughts, the fears, there is a deeper you. One who already knows peace. One who has never been broken. One who simply forgot. Closing the chapter. The master's lesson was not cruel. It was kind. To pour out the tea was to make room for something deeper. Tonight, you are invited to do the same. Not perfectly, not completely, but gently. pour a little out, and feel what opens. Chapter 4: Ego, Humility, and the Beginner's Mind. What is a beginner's mind? It is a mind that does not pretend to know. It is a mind that arrives to the moment like a child seeing the ocean for the first time, in awe, without agenda, without control. It is not stupid. It is not naive. It is sacred. It is the opposite of ego, and it is the doorway to healing. The ego wants to be right. The beginner wants to be real. When we're sad, the ego says, "This shouldn't be happening. I need to fix this now. Why me? Something is wrong with me." But the beginner's mind says, "I don't know what this sadness is here to teach me, but I am willing to sit with it." Humility is not weakness. It is strength without armor. It is strength without pretense. It says, "I may not understand everything I feel, but I will not run from it." Ego seeks control, but control does not heal. The more we try to control our sadness, to trap it in definitions, to explain it with perfect logic, the more it slips through our fingers. Zen teaches us to let go of control, not to become helpless, but to become free. Control is the cage. Presence is the key. The beginner's mind doesn't ask, "Why me?" It asks, "What is this moment asking of me? What can I learn by simply being here? What beauty have I missed because I thought I already knew the ending?" When you let go of needing an answer, life begins to answer you, not in words, but in softness, in little moments, in stillness, in unexpected tears that taste like truth. Live in. Humility is the sacred soil of peace. Peace cannot grow in arrogance. Peace cannot grow in self-judgment. Peace grows in humility. When you admit, "I don't have all the answers, but I am here, and I am willing," you become like the soil, soft, receptive, ready. And when the soil is ready, the seeds of peace begin to take root. Return to the empty teacup. The scholar was full not just of thoughts, but of himself. He arrived not to listen, but to be proven right. That is how many of us approach healing. We don't want to feel the sadness. We want to explain it. Name it. Control it. Avoid it. Fix it quickly so we don't have to touch it. But Zen does not rush. Zen waits. And Zen says, "Come with empty hands. Come with nothing, and everything will be given to you." Who are you without the story of your sadness? Not without the sadness itself, but without the story, without the labels, without the need to explain, without the secret belief that your sadness makes you unlovable. Who are you? If you let go of that old name, that identity that says, "I'm always this way. I'm always alone. I'll never be free." Who are you in this moment? If you allow the old self to dissolve, like steam rising from a teacup, the wisdom of not knowing, there is a sacred space between what you know and what you have yet to discover. That space is mystery. That space is the beginner's mind. And in that space, you will not find answers, but you will find peace. Because peace is not a conclusion. It is an opening. Whisper this to yourself. If you like, softly repeat, "I release the need to understand everything. I allow myself to not know. I welcome humility as healing. I am softening. I am returning. I am becoming new again." Closing the chapter. You do not need to carry the same name you've always carried. You do not need to be the version of yourself that sadness wants to define. The beginner's mind is not far away. It is here. It is this breath. It is this moment. Empty the cup. Let the story fade. Arrive again, with no conclusions, with no resistance, just presence. And in this presence, Joy is already whispering your name. Chapter 5. The Moon Cannot Be Stolen. It was late one evening when the old Zen master returned to his hut. The sun had dipped behind the mountains, leaving a trail of violet and gold across the sky. A cool wind moved through the trees, whispering to the bamboo, as if reminding them how to bend. The master had spent the day in the village, offering words without preaching, presence without judgment, and silence without expectation. He owned very little: a robe, a bowl, a lamp, a flute made of reed. His hut was built of simple wood, barely held together, but it was more than enough. That night, as he returned, he noticed the door was slightly open. Inside, he found a man, a thief. Startled, the thief backed away. He had taken nothing yet, but his eyes darted wildly, searching for something valuable. The master looked around. There was nothing to steal. And so, with soft eyes and a still voice, the master said, "You have come a long way to visit me. You should not go back empty-handed. Please, take my robe." He removed the simple cloth from his shoulders and held it out. Shaking, confused, the thief took it and fled into the night. The master sat down, now wearing only the sky. And as he gazed out the window, he whispered, "Poor man, I wish I could give him the moon." What can truly be stolen? When the world takes something from you, your trust, your love, your time, your peace, you may feel empty, as if something inside you was stolen. But the master reminds us, nothing essential can be taken. Not really. The robe? Just fabric. The hut? Just wood. But the moon was never his to give, nor anyone's to take. The moon is the symbol of your inner stillness, your quiet knowing, your presence, your being. It cannot be stolen. It cannot be damaged. It simply is. The illusion of loss. When someone leaves us, when a promise is broken, when the world takes what we thought we needed, it's easy to believe that part of us is now missing. But what if the sadness isn't because of the loss itself, but because we thought we owned what was never truly ours? A person, an outcome, a future we imagined. Zen does not shame you for grieving, but it gently asks, what if nothing is ever truly yours? Accept the presence you bring to this moment. Tea is not coldness, it is clarity. To detach does not mean you stop loving. It means you stop clinging. It means you stop trying to control what cannot be controlled. You stop placing your worth in hands that were never meant to carry it. The robe can be taken, the house can burn, the body can age, the job can end. But the moon, your quiet self, your light that shines even when no one sees it, remains. Always. Letting go without losing yourself. There is a kind of freedom that only arrives after loss. Not because the pain disappears, but because something deeper awakens beneath it. The Zen master did not resist the thief. He did not argue with reality. He gave what could be given and kept what could never be taken. That is the way of peace. That is the way of true power. A quiet practice for you. Right now, imagine someone or something you once gave your heart to. A person, a dream, a past version of yourself. Now imagine yourself handing them the robe, not in defeat, but in grace. You bow gently. You say, "Take what you need, but I keep my moon." You turn to the window of your life, and you look up. The moon is still there. It has always been there, unmoved, untouched. So are you, a whisper for your soul. I am not what I've lost. I am not what is left. I am the sky that remains. I am the moonlight that shines without effort. I am whole even in emptiness. Closing the chapter. When the world takes what you thought was essential, look to the sky. Let go of the robe. Let go of the door. Let go of the story. And then with quiet eyes, you will see it too. The moon cannot be stolen, and neither can you. Chapter 6. Non-attachment and inner peace. You have seen it now. The man who gave away his robe, and yet remained richer than the one who stole it, because he still had the moon, the symbol of what cannot be taken, of what is beyond clinging, of what belongs to no one and yet is always there. This is the power of non-attachment. But what is non-attachment? It is not indifference. It is not numbness. It is not pretending you don't care. Non-attachment is caring without needing. It is loving without possessing. It is feeling without drowning. It is holding without gripping. It is the gentle, open palm that says, I welcome what comes, and I bless what goes. Clinging is what hurts, not the loss itself. Sadness often feels like something has been stolen. A person, a dream, a sense of safety, a version of ourselves. But beneath the pain of loss is often the pain of gripping, the pain of refusing to let go. Zen teaches us, you will suffer every time you try to make something permanent. In a world that is made of waves, everything changes, everything passes, and still, you are not broken, because the moon remains, because who you are beneath the grasping remains. You were never meant to hold the river. Imagine standing at the edge of a flowing stream. You place your hands into the water and try to hold it, but it slips through. So you squeeze harder. You panic. You believe you've lost something. But the river was never yours to hold. It was only ever yours to feel, to honor, to witness. Sadness comes when we mistake the river for something solid. But peace comes when we realize we were only ever meant to dance with it, not keep it. Practice a soft releasing. Close your eyes if you wish. Breathe softly. Feel the weight you carry, not in your hands, but in your chest. That invisible tension, that grip. Now imagine this. There is a bird in your hands, wounded. You've held it for a long time, fearing it might leave. But now, it is time. You open your hands. You whisper a blessing. You let it fly. You watch it rise into the trees. You do not own it, but you are free. This is non-attachment. Peace is the space that opens after letting go. It is quiet. It is sacred. It does not shout. It does not rush. Peace waits in the places where we have released our need to control. You may not know what's next. You may not feel ready to let go. But even the willingness, even the soft desire to ungrip, is the beginning of freedom. Zen does not promise safety, it reveals truth. And truth is this: you will lose things. You will love things that cannot stay. You will grieve. You will ache. But you are not the loss. You are not the ache. You are not the brokenness. You are the space that holds it all. You are the moon, unmoved, even as clouds pass. Whispers for the soul. Repeat softly, or simply let the words fall over you. I release the need to control. I am safe in letting go. I trust the river of life. I do not own love, I receive it. I do not fear loss, I feel it and remain whole. I let go, not with force, but with grace. Non-attachment is returning to yourself. When the robe is gone, you see your skin. When the title is gone, you hear your name. When the relationship ends, you meet yourself again. This is not loss. This is unveiling. Letting go is not a failure. It is a remembering. Closing the chapter. You are not here to own. You are not here to hold tightly. You are here to witness, to love, to lose, to breathe, to rise again. Let the robe fall. Let the story dissolve. Let the moonlight return. It has always been yours. Chapter 7. Gentle affirmations for emotional clarity. You've journeyed deep already. You've listened. You've reflected. You've opened your heart to letting go. Now, let us rest together, not in silence, but in softness. These words are not meant to teach. They are here to remind. They are not commands. They are invitations. You do not need to repeat them aloud. Just let them fall around you like petals, or like rain on the roof. Let them find the places in you that still feel tense. Let them soften those places. Breathe gently. Let each phrase rise and fall with your breath. Affirmations. Part 1. Safety in the present moment. I am safe now. I am held by this moment. I am allowed to rest. I am not my past. I am not my thoughts. I am simply breath and being. I release the need to figure everything out. I am not here to solve myself. I am here to feel. This moment is enough. I am enough inside it. My only job is to be. Affirmations. Part 2. Releasing sadness with kindness. I do not need to resist my sadness. It is not my enemy. I welcome it like a teacher. I sit beside it without fear. Sadness is just a wave. I am the ocean underneath. I let the wave pass through me. I do not cling to the wave. I do not fear the wave. I feel sadness, and I stay. I feel grief, and I remain whole. I feel heaviness, and I keep breathing. I let the story go. I let the judgment go. I let myself be. Affirmations. Part 3. Self-compassion and inner permission. I do not rush my healing. I heal in stillness. I heal in softness. I heal in my own time. I forgive myself for what I didn't know. I forgive myself for trying too hard. I forgive the version of me that clung too tightly. I allow myself to feel without needing a reason. I allow myself to rest without guilt. I allow myself to be human. I speak to myself with kindness. I treat my own heart like something sacred. I am not broken. I am becoming. I am enough even now. Affirmations. Part 4. Emotional clarity. Every emotion is a visitor. I do not build a home for them. I greet them, then let them pass. I observe my thoughts. I am not controlled by them. I do not believe everything I think. I return to my breath. I return to the moment. I return to what is real. Clarity is not noise. Clarity is silence. I find clarity by softening, not striving. Affirmations. Part 5. The return to joy. Joy is not something I must chase. It is something I remember. It lives inside my breath. It waits beneath the sadness. It rises when I release control. I am allowed to smile again. I am allowed to feel lightness. I am allowed to be joyful, even if things are not perfect. Joy is not a reward. Joy is my natural rhythm. I do not force it, I return to it, and it welcomes me home. Affirmations. Final part. I am the moon. I am the sky, everything passes through me. I am the moon, even in darkness, I shine. I am not what I've lost. I am not what is left. I am not the ache, I am the one who breathes through it. Nothing essential can be stolen from me. I release the past. I release the outcome. I release the old name I gave my pain. I am here now. I am whole now. I am ready now to rest. Bleep induction voice optional use. Now breathe. Let these words settle into the soil of your subconscious. No need to think about them. No need to remember them. They will stay with you, like moonlight through the trees, like a bell you once heard and never forgot. Rest now. You are safe here. You are deeply, deeply loved. And even if you don't feel it yet, you are already returning home. Chapter 8. Closing letting go. Gently. You've walked slowly through the temple of your sadness. You've sat beside silence. You've listened to the stories. You've opened the palm of your heart and let go just a little more. And now, you are softer. Not because your sadness is gone, but because you are no longer fighting it. This is healing. This is return. This is the gentle beginning of freedom. You have done nothing wrong. Your sadness is not a mistake. It is not a flaw. It is not something you need to rush away from. Zen does not say, be happy. It says, be here, exactly as you are. There is nothing to hide. There is nothing to force. Only presence. Only breath. Only this. You are not behind. There is no race. No clock ticking. No requirement to be anyone other than who you are. Right now, sadness slows us down so that we might actually feel, so that we might actually see, so that we might remember. We are not here to perform. We are here to live gently, wisely, fully. What you've touched tonight cannot be lost. The stillness, the awareness, the space inside you that watched all your emotions rise and fall. That part of you is unshakable, and you found it. Maybe not fully, maybe not clearly, but it is there. And now, you know how to return. Not by effort, not by solving, but by softening. Imagine this now. A single candle sits in the center of a dark room. You enter the room with your sadness. Your grief sits beside you. Your longing rests at your feet. Your questions echo in the corners. And yet, the candle stays lit. That candle is your awareness. It does not flicker in judgment. It does not burn with urgency. It simply glows. And that glow, no matter what emotions come and go, is what remains. You are that glow. You are the one who watches without fear. Let go without letting go. You don't need to let go completely. You don't need to empty everything out at once. Letting go can be gentle. It can be quiet. It can be invisible. Letting go can simply mean not holding it quite so tightly, not needing to understand, not asking your heart to move faster than it's ready. Letting go can sound like, I am still here, and that is enough. Before we enter the next hour, let these words guide you into deeper stillness. I am grateful for my sadness. It reminds me that I care. I am grateful for this moment. It reminds me that I'm alive. I am grateful for stillness. It reminds me I don't need to do anything to be whole. Breathe into the peace you've already found. You are here. You are enough. You are not lost. You are not broken. There is nothing else to do right now. No role to play. No performance to give. Only rest. Only being. Let yourself fall deeper into the rhythm of your own breath. Let yourself be loved by the silence. Let go gently. Closing blessing for Act 1. May your sadness soften. May your breath deepen. May your soul remember that it was never missing. May you rest not because all is perfect, but because you are finally allowed to just be. The next hour will take you further. But for now, just rest. You've already begun to return. And that is enough. Chapter 9. Guided Breath. Entering the present moment. Let us begin again. Not with thought, not with answers, but with breath. You do not need to try. You do not need to focus. There is no pressure to meditate perfectly. You are simply being, and that is enough. Breathe in, like the wind through bamboo. Slowly, gently, inhale through your nose, as if breathing in the scent of wet earth after the first rain. Let the breath rise, like mist rising from a mountain lake. Hold it for just a moment, not as tension, but as sacred stillness. Now exhale, like the breeze leaving a temple gate at dusk. Let it fall away. Let your body soften. Again, inhale. Stillness enters. Exhale. Stillness stays. You are not your thoughts, you are the space they move through. Thoughts may arise. They may tug at your sleeve. They may say, "You're not doing this right. You should be asleep. You're thinking too much. You're not healed yet." Smile gently at these voices and let them pass. Like clouds across the moon. You are not those clouds. You are the sky they pass through. Keep breathing. With every breath, you return. To what? Not to some grand answer. Not to some perfect version of yourself. You return to presence. To the you that does not perform. To the you that is simply aware. Not judging. Not labeling. Just noticing. Just being. Feel what is real now. Feel the fabric beneath your skin. The weight of your limbs. The hum of silence all around you. Can you feel it? That slight pulse of aliveness in your fingertips? That subtle warmth in your chest? You are not thinking these sensations. You are not imagining them. You are experiencing them. This is presence. And this presence is peace. A breath for the wounded part of you. Inhale and imagine light entering the place inside you that aches the most. Exhale and imagine that ache being held like a sleeping child. No fixing, no pushing, just breath, just embrace. Inhale calm, exhale resistance. Inhale softness, exhale the need to know why. The present moment holds everything you need. You don't need the past to be different. You don't need the future to be clear. Right now, you have a breath, and that breath is ancient, sacred, alive. It links you to every sunrise that has ever been witnessed, every monk who ever sat in stillness, every soul who ever wept and healed and opened again. You are not alone in your breath. You are breathing with the world. A soft visualization. Now imagine this. You are sitting by a stream. The water flows slowly, not rushing. The trees lean over you like guardians. Each breath you take creates a ripple in the water. Inhale, the leaves shimmer. Exhale, the stream clears. You are not trying to control the flow. You are simply present, letting the world move as it does, letting yourself be part of it without needing to fix anything. Whispers of the breath. Let these phrases follow your breath. I breathe in peace. I breathe out tension. I breathe in presence. I breathe out the past. I breathe in stillness. I breathe out the need to be anyone else. Each word, a wave. Each wave, a return. You are home now. Not a home with walls. Not a home with doors. But a home made of stillness, of breath, of being. This home has always waited for you. Not judging your delay. Not asking where you've been. Only saying, welcome back. Closing this breath journey. Let your breathing become effortless now. No need to guide it. Let the body breathe for you. Let the silence surround you like a blanket. You are here. And that is everything. The breath is not a tool. It is a mirror. And what it reflects is your return. Chapter 10. The Man Who Lost His Horse. There was once an old man who lived at the edge of a small village near the mountains. He was poor by the world's standards. He had no gold, no servants, no title, but he had a horse. a beautiful, strong, wild horse. And the villagers often told him, "You are so lucky to have such a magnificent animal. You could sell him for a fortune." The old man would always smile and say, "Maybe, maybe not. Who can say what is good or bad?" One morning, the villagers awoke to find that the horse had vanished. He had run away into the hills, gone without a trace. They came to the old man saying, "What a terrible loss. You were foolish not to sell the horse. Now you have nothing." The old man only said, "Maybe, maybe not. Who can say what is good or bad?" A week later, the horse returned, but not alone. He brought with him a herd of wild horses, strong, untamed, beautiful creatures, who followed him home from the mountains. Now the old man had a dozen horses. Again the villagers gathered. "How fortunate you are. Now you're rich. This is a blessing." The old man said, "Maybe, maybe not. Who can say what is good or bad?" Soon after, his only son tried to tame one of the wild horses. He was thrown off, and his leg broke in many places. He would walk with a limp for the rest of his life. The villagers came again. "Oh, how terrible. Your only son injured for life. This is such misfortune." But the old man replied, "Maybe, maybe not. Who can say what is good or bad?" Weeks later, a war broke out. The king's soldiers came to every village, taking all the young men to fight. But the old man's son was not taken. His leg was broken. The villagers wept for their sons. Many never returned. They came once more to the old man. "You were right. What seemed bad turned out to be a blessing. Your son is spared. You are lucky." And the old man said only, "Maybe, maybe not. Who can say what is good or bad?" The wisdom of uncertainty. The story of the man and the horse is not about events. It is about how we meet them. Our minds are quick to judge. This is bad. This is good. This is the end. This means I'm cursed. This means I'm healed. But Zen teaches something softer. We never know what anything truly means in the moment, because life is not finished. The story is still unfolding. What feels like sadness may be a hidden seed. Perhaps the sadness you feel now is not a punishment. Perhaps it is preparation. Perhaps the moment that broke you is the one that will teach you how to truly breathe. Perhaps the thing you lost was never truly meant to stay, but it came to open you, to shake the rust off your soul, to remind you of the moonlight. When the world grew dark, let the mind soften its grip. What if you stopped labeling everything so quickly? What if you didn't have to decide whether this moment is good or bad? What if you allowed it to simply be? And in that allowing, you created space. And in that space, you found peace. Not from fixing the situation, but from releasing your war with it. A thought practice, the unfolding way. Next time you feel pain, or confusion, or regret, pause and whisper to yourself, maybe this is a blessing. Maybe this is just the middle of a larger story. I don't know yet, and that's okay. That is not denial. That is not passivity. That is wisdom. It takes wisdom to say, I will wait before deciding what this means. It takes wisdom to hold the moment gently until it reveals its lesson. Your sadness is not the end. You may have lost something. You may be grieving something. You may feel like you are standing in the middle of the field and your horse is gone. But remember this, you don't know what comes next. Not everything that leaves is a curse. Not everything that arrives is a gift. You do not need to judge the moment. You only need to stay with it long enough to see what it becomes. Soft whispers for the unfolding heart. I don't need to label this moment. I don't need to judge this chapter. I trust the mystery. I trust that meaning will come when it's ready. I allow life to unfold without forcing clarity. I meet my sadness with presence. I do not rush it. I do not fear it. I stay with it and let it teach me. Closing the chapter. The old man was not wise because he knew the outcome. He was wise because he let life unfold without needing to decide its meaning too soon. This is how peace grows. This is how we begin to heal. Not by knowing, but by trusting. You are not at the end of your story. And this moment, whatever it may feel like, is not your final chapter. Maybe, maybe not. Let us keep walking. Chapter 11. Maybe, maybe not. The wisdom of uncertainty. There are few phrases in Zen more powerful than these three words. Maybe, maybe not. They are not indecisive. They are not passive. They are not afraid to choose. They are wise because they point to a truth that most of us spend our lives trying to avoid. We don't know. We don't know what this moment means yet. We don't know what comes next. We don't know which heartbreaks are actually openings, which delays are actually blessings, which endings are actually the start of something sacred. The need to label is the root of our suffering. When something happens, the mind wants to decide, this is good, this is bad, this means I've failed, this means I'm cursed, this proves I'm not lovable. But Zen gently asks, why do you need to decide so quickly? What if your meaning is still unfolding? What if the lesson is still being written? Sadness often comes from premature conclusions. We say, this person left, therefore I must be unworthy. This opportunity fell through, therefore I'll never succeed. This pain is here, therefore I'm broken. But if you paused just long enough to say, maybe, maybe not, you would create a little space. And in that space, peace could enter, breath could return, your story could evolve. Let the story breathe. Have you ever read a novel and wept halfway through? Because things looked so bleak, only to reach the end and realize it was all leading to something beautiful? What if your life is like that? What if this chapter that feels like a dead end is actually the beginning of a new path? What if you're not being punished, but prepared? What if this isn't failure, but realignment? You don't have to believe it. Just allow the possibility. Let it breathe. Uncertainty is not chaos. It is mystery. There is a softness in saying, I don't know what this means yet. There is a quiet freedom in whispering, I don't know what will happen, but I trust I will meet it with presence. That's all Zen asks of you. Not prediction, not perfection, just presence. Practice the pause before the judgment. Next time something hurts, before you say, this is wrong, this shouldn't be happening, this ruins everything, pause and breathe and say, maybe, maybe not. Then listen, not to your thoughts, to your breath, to the silence underneath. Let the space grow wide again. Let the judgment fall away. Affirmations for the unknown path. I trust that this moment is part of something larger. I release the need to label everything. I am not rushing to conclusions. I let the meaning of this moment unfold in its own time. I welcome the mystery. I am safe, even when I don't know what comes next. You are still becoming. The old man didn't know that losing his horse would bring more, or that gaining more would bring injury, or that injury would spare a life. He simply lived in the truth of each moment. Without demanding it, explain itself. Can you do the same? Can you let life teach you without needing to understand the lesson first? Can you walk forward, trusting that even the shadowed paths may one day lead to light? Closing the chapter. Your sadness is not a final sentence. It is not a closed door. It is not the last word in your story. It is a comma, a breath, a space in the unfolding sentence of your soul. Let it remain unwritten for now. Let it whisper, maybe, maybe not, and walk gently on. Chapter 12. The Bamboo Cutter and the Moonlight. There was once a man who lived alone in a small hut, nestled at the edge of a forest. He was a bamboo cutter. Each day, he walked deep into the groves, cutting stalk after stalk with patient hands, tying them into bundles, and carrying them to the village for trade. But there was one thing he longed for more than anything: to see the face of the moon. Not just the moon in the sky, but the true moon, the one he had heard the monks speak of, the one that could not be touched by cloud, nor time, nor mind, the moon as enlightenment. He believed that if he could just find the right bamboo grove, climb the right hill, cut the right stalk at the perfect angle, then maybe, just maybe, the moon would reveal itself to him in all its glory. And so he searched, and cut, and searched again. Years passed. Groves came and went. Mountains were climbed. Books were read. Rituals were memorized. Still, no moon. The night he gave up. One night, exhausted and cold, he sat alone outside his hut. No tools, no effort, no seeking. He had given up. He sipped warm tea made from bamboo leaves. He let the silence surround him like an old blanket. He did not search for anything. He simply sat and breathed. And that was when it happened. He looked up, and there, resting quietly on the surface of his tea, was the reflection of the full moon. Still, perfect, unmoving. The moon had always been there. He had simply been moving too fast to see it. The parable's truth. The bamboo cutter didn't need to search the forest. He didn't need to climb higher. He didn't need to seek more wisdom. He needed to stop. He needed to be still. Only then, when his hands were empty, when his breath was soft, when he expected nothing, did the moon reveal itself. We all chase our own moon. We chase peace. We chase happiness. We chase healing. We say, if I just find the right book, if I just meet the right person, if I just fix this sadness, then I'll finally be okay. But Zen whispers a different truth. The peace you seek is not far away. It is just resting quietly beneath your effort. Stillness is the mirror. You cannot grab moonlight with your hand, but you can see it clearly, softly. When the surface of your mind becomes still, sadness stirs the surface. Regret clouds it. Chasing causes ripples. But the moment you sit with yourself, not to fix, not to improve, but simply to be, the moon appears, a practice in moonlight. Right now, let yourself become like still water. Breathe slowly. Feel the air move in. Feel it leave. Place nothing between you and this moment. Let go of needing something to happen. Let go of hoping this chapter will change you. Just sit, just breathe, just be, and see what reveals itself. Whispers for the soul. I am no longer chasing the moon. I let it come to me in stillness. I am no longer trying to fix myself. I let healing rise like light. I trust stillness more than striving. I am enough even now. I am like water. I become still. I reflect the truth. The bamboo cutter within you. You don't need to seek peace tonight. You don't need to earn rest. You don't need to chase wholeness. Like the man who sat quietly in the dark, you are allowed to stop. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to do nothing and still be held by the presence of the moon. That stillness is already in you, and in that stillness, everything returns. Chapter 13. Seeking nothing, finding everything. There is a kind of silence that only arrives after we stop chasing, not a silence of loneliness, but of arrival. Not the silence of something missing, but of nothing needing to be added. This is the silence the bamboo cutter found. Not after effort, not after more learning, but after surrender. You've been taught to seek. The world teaches you to strive, to reach, to fix, to achieve. We are told, don't stop until you've arrived. Don't rest until you've succeeded. Don't be still, you'll fall behind. But what if the very thing you are chasing is only visible when you stop? What if it's not a matter of speed, but of stillness? What if joy, clarity, peace, even healing are not rewards for chasing, but gifts that reveal themselves? When you finally rest, the still pond reflects the moon. You've heard this before. You may even understand it. But have you lived it? Have you let yourself be still enough to reflect the truth already inside you? When you no longer stir the water with questions, with demands, with fear, then and only then does the reflection appear. What if you already have it? What if what you seek is already here? What if peace has been knocking on your chest every time you exhaled? What if the joy you long for is not something you gain, but something you clear space for? What if the love you're chasing is already held in the way you breathe, the way you notice, the way you stay? You don't need to chase the moon when you are the moon, the freedom of not needing. There is a soft, almost invisible shift that happens when you no longer need something. From this moment, suddenly, the air feels gentler. The world doesn't owe you anything. And in that freedom, you begin to see things again. A breeze becomes beautiful. The silence becomes sacred. Your breath becomes a teacher. And your sadness? It too becomes lighter. Not gone, but no longer the enemy. Because you're not demanding it disappear. You do not need to be healed to be whole. Healing is not a destination. It is a returning to the part of you that was never lost, the part that never needed to chase. This moment is enough, not because it's perfect, but because you are no longer fighting it. That is everything. Affirmations for the non-seeking heart. I am not chasing peace, I am becoming still enough to see it. I am not rushing to change, I am softening into what is. I am not searching for truth, I am letting truth find me. I am not broken, I am breathing. I am aware, I am here. And here is enough. You are the answer to the question you've been asking. There is no secret technique, no final breakthrough, no perfect version of you waiting in the future. There is only this breath, this stillness, this silent knowing that nothing is missing. Stop chasing, stop fixing, just sit, just breathe. Let yourself be found. Closing the chapter. You are not falling behind. You are not failing your purpose. You are not missing your moment. You are simply returning, one breath at a time, to the place where nothing is sought, and everything begins to appear. And perhaps tonight, beneath the weight of no effort, you will glimpse what the bamboo cutter saw. The moon, reflected clearly in the still waters of your own soul. Chapter 14, The River of Emotion. There was once a student who came to a Zen master in tears. He had practiced meditation for many years. He had studied the sutras. He had fasted, served, sat still for hours. But still, he wept. He raged. He felt hollow, heavy, overwhelmed. He said, "Master, I don't understand. Why do I still feel so much? Why do these emotions drown me?" The master did not answer. Instead, he took the student by the hand and walked silently with him to a wide, slow-moving river. They sat at the edge, listening to the water. After a long silence, the master finally spoke. This is your sadness. This is your joy. This is your anger, your love, your grief. This is all of it flowing. The student frowned. But how do I stop it? The master smiled. You don't. We are not meant to stop the river. Emotions are water. You are not here to dam them, fight them, redirect them, or pretend they aren't moving. You are here to watch, to witness, to float, sometimes to weep, sometimes to drift, but never to drown. Not if you remember, you are not the river. You are the one who sees. What happens when you stop resisting? The river doesn't ask for your permission to flow. It doesn't wait for your readiness. It doesn't ask whether now is convenient. It just moves. And when you resist it, you suffer. You tense. You gasp. You thrash in the water, mistaking movement for danger. But if you let go, if you breathe, if you trust, you float. Not because you are stronger, but because you are softer. The myth of getting over it. You are not supposed to get over sadness. You are supposed to let it pass through you, as the river passes through a valley, leaving it greener, not ruined. Zen does not teach you to escape emotion. It teaches you to stop becoming it. You can feel anger without becoming the flame. You can feel grief without becoming the grave. You can feel everything without forgetting who you are. A visualization, floating the river. Close your eyes if you'd like. Inhale softly. Exhale slowly. Now imagine yourself lying back in a gentle river. It is safe. It is warm. It moves at its own pace. You're not trying to swim. You're not clinging to the shore. You're just allowing. The water carries your sadness. The water holds your joy. It makes no distinction. All is welcome. All is allowed. And so are you. Emotional truths the river teaches. Emotions are not permanent. They pass when allowed. They swell when resisted. They soften when seen. They teach when listened to. You are not your sadness. You are not your past. You are not the storm. You are the sky it moves through. Peace comes when you stop the fight. You may be tired of feeling. You may be ashamed of weeping. You may believe that peace means not feeling anything at all. But peace is not numbness. It is not silence through suppression. It is presence through permission. It is standing at the edge of the river and saying, "Flow, I will not stop you. I will walk beside you, and I will remain whole." Affirmations for emotional flow. I allow myself to feel. I release the need to control my emotions. I am safe in feeling deeply. I do not judge what moves through me. I trust the river. I float, I do not fight. I am water. I am breath. I am the watcher. Closing the chapter. The Zen master did not give the student an answer. He gave him a river. And perhaps tonight, you too have found yours. Let it move. Let it whisper. Let it carry the old pieces of you to somewhere soft, somewhere sacred, somewhere free. You are not drowning. You are remembering how to float. Chapter 15. Emotions as visitors, not owners. There is a story told in silence, a wisdom whispered beneath the noise of your thoughts. You are not what you feel. You are the home where feeling passes through. You are not the guest. You are the house. When we believe emotions are truth, so often sadness knocks, and we throw open the door, believing it owns the place. We light incense for it. We rearrange the furniture for it. We speak in its voice. We think it is us. But sadness is not you. Anger is not you. Anxiety is not you. Joy is not you either. These are all visitors. And like all guests, they do not stay forever. Let the emotion be a guest, not the landlord. You can let it in. You can offer it tea. You can sit with it on the floor of your heart. But you do not need to give it the master key. You do not need to believe every word it says. You do not need to let it build its own room inside you. Let it stay. Let it speak. Then, let it leave. This is emotional peace. Not control, but clarity. Every emotion has a message, not a sentence. Grief may whisper, "You have loved." Anger may say, "Something precious was crossed." Fear may tremble, "Something matters deeply." But they are not your identity. They are not your name. They are not your final truth. They are weather. You are the sky. They are music. You are the space it plays within. You are not broken for feeling deeply. There is nothing wrong with you for crying, for aching, for trembling when old memories rise like ghosts. This is not a flaw in your soul. It is a sign you are alive. It is a sign you are present. It is a sign you have not shut your heart to the world. And what is more Zen than that? Not emptiness of emotion, but openness to whatever arrives. You are the sacred house. Imagine this now. You are a small, warm temple in the middle of a quiet forest. Emotions arrive like travelers, each with their own story, each carrying their own bag. You let them enter. You offer them stillness. You do not ask them to stay. You do not ask them to leave. You simply say, "Welcome. You are allowed to be here. And when it's time, you are allowed to go." A whisper you can use anytime. When sadness comes, "I see you. You may sit beside me." When anger comes, "I hear you. You may speak, but I will not act from you." When joy comes, "I feel you. You are welcome, but I will not chase you when you leave." Let them all pass. Like wind, like weather, like visitors who came to show you something, then moved on. Affirmations for the sacred host. I am not my emotions. I am the awareness that holds them. Emotions do not define me, they pass through me. I give space to all feelings without shame. I am not owned by anger. I am not consumed by sadness. I welcome all and cling to none. I remain whole. I remain clear. I remain home. You are not the story your emotions tell. Your sadness may say, "You are alone." Your fear may whisper, "This will never change." Your grief may cry, "You are lost forever." But you are not obligated to believe them. You are allowed to listen without becoming. You are allowed to feel without being defined. You are allowed to be here without rushing to fix or flee. Closing the chapter. Tonight, let your emotions visit. Let them knock. Let them enter. Let them speak. But do not let them name you. Do not let them sit in the seat of your soul. Let them pass. Like seasons. Like songs. Like the wind that once called your name and now moves on. You are not your sadness. You are not your joy. You are the quiet that remains after both have passed. Chapter 16. Calm is your true nature. You've listened. You've softened. You've allowed the river of emotion to move through you. Now, you are ready to rest. Not just the body, but the mind, the heart, the stories. Let these affirmations wash over you. You do not need to repeat them. You do not need to believe them yet. Just hear them, like a lullaby whispered to the child still within you. Let them drift down into the roots of your awareness. Let them settle where words become dreams. Breathe softly. Close your eyes if you wish. Let us begin. Part 1. Return to stillness. I no longer chase the moment. The moment is already here. I no longer resist the emotion. The emotion is already allowed. I do not need to be fixed. I only need to rest. I do not need to be understood. I only need to breathe. I allow this breath to soften me. I allow this breath to return me. I am arriving in stillness. I am returning to myself. Part 2. The river has carried me home. I am not drowning, I am floating. I do not fight the current, I move with it. I allow everything to come and everything to go. My sadness is not a threat. My fear is not the truth. My breath is my anchor. My stillness is my temple. I let go of the story. I let go of the label. I am just here, just breathing, just being. Part 3. I am the safe space. I am the sky, not the weather. I am the house, not the guest. I am the watcher, not the wave. Emotions do not own me. Thoughts do not define me. I am a sacred space of presence. I hold all things gently. I hold myself with compassion. I do not rush. I do not push. I am already whole. Part 4. Peace is who I am. Calm is not something I seek, it is who I am. Peace is not something I earn, it is my nature. Stillness is not a goal, it is the truth beneath my noise. I trust this moment. I trust this breath. I trust the silence. I trust myself. I am not waiting for peace. I am peace. Part 5. The night is my teacher. The night does not rush. The stars do not try. The moon does not speak, and yet it is heard. I let the dark hold me. I let my mind rest. I let my body soften. I let sleep take me gently. I release control. I release shame. I release effort. I release the day. Part 6. I belong to the quiet. The silence does not judge me. The breath does not abandon me. The stillness never left me. I belong here. I belong in this breath. I belong in this body. I belong in this moment. I am home. I am safe. I am whole. Final affirmations for surrender. I do not need to know what happens next. I only need to rest in what is now. I am done trying. I am done fixing. I am done carrying what was never mine. I give myself permission to rest. I give myself permission to feel. I give myself permission to heal without force. I give myself permission to just be. I am the moon. I am the sky. I am the calm beneath the waves. I am already free. Sleep now with no more searching. Let go of the mind. Let go of the name. Let go of the story. Sink now into silence. Let your breath lead you, like a lantern down a sacred path. There is nothing left to prove. There is nowhere else to go. You are already here. You are already enough. Sleep, dear soul. Calm is your true nature. Chapter 17. Walking in the rain without an umbrella. It was late in the afternoon when the storm began. Heavy clouds had gathered over the monastery, and soft thunder rolled across the hills like a slow drum. The young monk stood under the eaves, staring out at the path to the meditation hall. Rain fell steady, not violent, but still rain. He hesitated. He looked at his robe, at his bare feet, at the cold stone path that lay before him. The old master stepped beside him, quiet as wind. "You're not going?" he asked. The young monk shook his head. "I'll wait until the rain stops." The master smiled. He stepped out from under the roof and into the rain. No hurry, no umbrella, no complaint. The rain tapped gently on his shoulders. His robe darkened with water. His sandals pressed into soft earth. The young monk called after him, "Why aren't you waiting?" And the master turned back, soaked but smiling, and said, "Because I am not made of salt." The lesson in the rain. Rain is life. It does not ask permission. It does not follow your schedule. It falls when it falls. And if you wait to walk through life, only when skies are clear, you may never move at all. Zen does not teach you to avoid the rain. Zen teaches you to walk in it. Without fear, without rush, without resistance. How much of our sadness is resistance? Think of the times you've said, "This shouldn't be happening. I'll be happy when this is over. Why now? I can't feel this. Not today." But the rain doesn't stop because you argue with it. And neither do emotions. Neither does life. Neither does grief. So, what happens when you stop waiting? What happens when you walk into the moment exactly as it is and say, "Let it fall. I will keep walking." You are not made of salt. You will not dissolve from sadness, from tears, from uncertainty. You are not made of salt. You are not so fragile. You are the ground the rain falls upon, not the drop itself. Let it fall. Let it touch you. Let it soak through your robe, your name, your story, and keep walking. A new way to walk through emotion. You don't need to run. You don't need to hide. You don't need to force the sun to return. You can simply breathe and walk. You can feel the sadness and walk. You can let the rain fall and walk. You don't have to pretend it's not raining. You only have to stop waiting for it to stop. A visualization, peace within the storm. Imagine yourself now, standing in the rain. No umbrella, no fear. You feel the drops on your skin. You hear the rhythm on the earth. You are not rushing. You are not curled up in resistance. You are walking. One step, another, alive, awake, free. Affirmations for walking without fear. I do not wait for peace. I walk with peace. I do not need the storm to end. I need only to be present. I am not afraid of feeling. I am afraid of not living. I let the rain fall. I keep walking. I am not made of salt. I do not dissolve in sadness. I walk even when it rains, especially when it rains. Closing the chapter. The old master didn't walk into the rain to be brave. He walked into the rain because it was time to walk, and the rain simply happened to be falling. And perhaps that is the secret. Not waiting for perfection, not hoping for sunshine, but choosing to live fully. Even as the sky weeps, let the rain fall. Let your robe be soaked. Let your tears join the earth. And keep walking. This too is peace. This too is Zen. Act 3. The Awakening. Returning to happiness within. This act is the gentle return, not to who we were before sadness, but to the deeper self who always existed beneath it. Not a version free of all pain, but a version who walks with peace, because they've remembered the stillness beneath all storms. We begin with a meditative induction, a soft opening of the inner sky, where the listener is invited to awaken the joy, lightness, and clarity that were never truly lost. Chapter 18. Opening the Inner Sky. Close your eyes if they are not already closed. Let the breath deepen, not by force, but by remembrance. Let the day fall behind you. Let the thoughts grow quiet, like leaves settling after a breeze. You are safe now. You are open now. You are ready to see, not just with your eyes, but with the heart beneath them. Breathe in to the sky within. Inhale. Imagine the breath rising like mist from a morning forest. Exhale. Feel the clouds parting. Inhale. A soft light returns behind your ribs. Exhale. Space opens. You are not a thought. You are not a name. You are not a memory. You are the sky that holds it all. And today, the sky is clearing. Sadness was a cloud, not the sky. You've been through fog, through storms, through nights where nothing made sense. But now, as the sun of your awareness rises, you see it. The sadness was real, but it was not the sky. It passed. It floated. It wept. But it did not stay. You remained. You are allowed to awaken now. There is no ceremony, no loud trumpet announcing your return. Just this moment, just this breath, just this opening in the clouds of thought. And in this clearing, a new energy rises. A calm joy, not manic, not desperate, just quietly true. You are allowed to feel this. You are allowed to begin again. Let go of the guilt for feeling better. You may notice your body softening. You may feel a slight warmth inside your chest. You may begin to smile, and part of you might ask, but is it okay to feel good again? Yes. Yes, beloved soul. Yes. You are not betraying your sadness. By feeling light, you are honoring it. By not letting it be your cage. You've carried the rain. Now feel the sun. Visualize the awakening within you. You stand now in a vast, endless sky. All directions open. Above quiet space. Below quiet strength. Within quiet joy. You feel a golden warmth beginning in your chest. It spreads softly, slowly, like a sunrise over still water. It reaches your throat, your face, your fingers. It surrounds you like a robe of light. This is not energy you must chase. It's energy you've released. By letting go, by softening, by remembering, you are not absorbing light. You are light. Affirmations for awakening joy. I allow joy to return gently, naturally. I release the idea that I must suffer to grow. I allow lightness without guilt. I awaken the calm energy that has always lived within me. I am not defined by my past. I am not weighed down by old emotion. I am walking forward not as someone healed, but as someone home. This is the real you beneath the noise. The you that watches, the you that breathes, the you that knows how to be still, without needing permission. You are not becoming something better. You are becoming real. Like the sun behind clouds, you were never missing, just unseen. Closing the induction. Let this moment be enough. Let this clarity be quiet. Let this return be sacred. You are not waiting anymore. You are not chasing anymore. You are simply here. And that is everything. Let the sky open. Let the clouds pass. Let your heart rise. The next chapter is joy, and you are ready to walk into it. Chapter 19, The Laughing Buddha, 5th expanded version. In a world that often kneels under the weight of seriousness, where the sacred is whispered only in silence and the enlightened are imagined to hover above the ground, there once walked a man who turned all these ideas on their heads, not with defiance, not with rebellion, but with laughter. His name was Hote, but most knew him by a more familiar sound, a giggle that warmed the soul and bounced like wind through cherry blossoms. He had no title, no robes of gold, no disciples bowing at his feet. He had no scriptures etched in stone or words recorded in volumes of reverence. Instead, he wandered barefoot through muddy paths, through open markets, through rain-drenched hillsides, dressed in nothing but a torn robe, a belly exposed to the sun, and a sack slung over one shoulder. Children followed him, not because he promised wisdom, but because he was wisdom wrapped in sweetness, mischief, and simplicity. He handed out tangerines and sweets. He spun in circles until he collapsed in the grass. He whispered secrets to trees and then laughed as if they had answered him with jokes older than time. No one knew when he would appear, and no one ever saw him arrive. He simply emerged from the mist, from the alleyways, from the nothing, bringing lightness like the morning sun. But this was no clown, no trickster playing games with the sacred. Beneath his giggle was a depth that could hold the sky. Beneath his playfulness was a peace deeper than silence. Because Hotei had known sorrow deeply, the kind that carves through bone and leaves only questions. He had known the ache of wanting, the devastation of loss, the fragile grip of things that fade. But he had emerged not bitter, not cynical, not hardened, but light. What made him laugh? People often ask not with their mouths, but with their eyes, what made him laugh so freely? How could someone live as simply as he did and still carry a joy that filled entire courtyards like incense smoke? Was he untouched by pain? Had he escaped the deep suffering of human life? Had he found some trick, some secret formula that others had missed? But the truth was the opposite. He laughed not because he was spared from sorrow, but because he had walked through it, every inch of it. There was a time, they say, when Hotei sat like any other monk in training, still, serious, and aching for enlightenment. He had studied the sutras. He had fasted through winters. He had tried to purify his mind with silence, tried to perfect his breath, tried to tame the storms within. But no matter how still he sat, something inside remained restless, not loud but unsettled, as if some part of him knew that chasing peace was the very thing keeping it away. One day, while walking alone through a quiet mountain pass, Hotei saw a small child, laughing not because something was funny, but because laughter was there. It bubbled out of him for no reason, no reward, no audience, just joy for the sake of joy. And in that moment, something broke open in Hotei, not like a dam, but like a cocoon. He did not laugh at the child. He laughed with the universe. It began as a chuckle, soft and round, but it rolled forward like thunder wrapped in honey. And with that laugh, something ancient left his body. The weight of trying to become something evaporated. He no longer needed to be wise. He no longer needed to impress monks or be recognized by masters. He no longer needed to attain anything. And so he laughed not at the world, but with it. Because what else is there to do when you finally realize you were never broken, you were never behind, and you never needed to fix yourself to be whole? The Zen masters resisted him. In the world of robes and scrolls, of temples and titles, not everyone welcomed him. While villagers gathered like bees around the sweetness of his presence, the monks were less sure. He didn't look enlightened. He didn't speak in riddles. He didn't sit for hours under Bodhi trees. He played with children. He shared food with dogs. He interrupted meditations with songs about turnips. To many monks, he seemed like a fool. How could someone who didn't fast, who didn't chant with severity, who didn't kneel properly, possibly carry any true understanding? One day, Hotei arrived at the gate of a grand monastery, nestled in a mist-soaked forest. A senior monk, rigid in posture and silent in gaze, blocked his path. He had heard of the wandering beggar with a laugh that echoed like thunder in spring, and he wasn't impressed. "Who are you?" the monk demanded, his voice sharp like the clack of a wooden staff. "I am Joy," Hotei replied, eyes twinkling like morning dew. And he bowed not with stiffness, but with the gentleness of a falling petal. The monk frowned. "What is your teaching?" His tone was like stone, heavy, unmoved, unamused. Hotei did not speak. He simply smiled, reached into his worn cloth sack, and pulled out a small, ripe tangerine. Its skin glowed orange in the dawn light. He sat on the ground, cross-legged, and peeled it, slowly, lovingly, as if the fruit were sacred, as if every spiral of zest in the air was a mantra. One by one, he placed each segment on his tongue. He closed his eyes. He chewed gently. He swallowed with reverence. He did not offer the monk any. He did not say a word. That was the teaching. The monk stared, unmoved. "Is that all?" he said. Hotei nodded. He licked the juice from his fingers, stood up, and began to sing a song to a passing bird. That evening, as the monk sat in his cell with the incense burning, the scent of citrus filled his thoughts. He could not stop thinking about the sound of the peel tearing, the slow, soft delight that required no scripture to explain. And though he never admitted it, he began peeling his own fruit more slowly after that. He began tasting his tea, not just drinking it. And sometimes, he even smiled for no reason. He gave everything away. To many, he looked like a fool. To the wise, he was a master in disguise. His robes were not new. His sandals, if he wore any at all, were often falling apart. He had no monastery, no home, no title. And yet wherever he went, people gathered. Not for sermons, not for rituals, but for the strange, inexplicable warmth he carried, like firewood that never ran out. All he had in the world fit into one faded cloth sack. A wooden bowl, worn smooth by decades of use, a broken bamboo flute that couldn't hold a single note, and a handful of river stones, polished, rounded, ordinary to any other eye. But to Hote, they were treasure. He would name each one. This one is Belly of the Moon. This one, Grandmother's Voice. This one, Laugh of the Sparrow. And when a child came near, curious, shy, hiding behind a mother's skirt, he would kneel down bare knees on dirt, open his sack and pull out the treasure. This, he'd say, holding out a pebble, is what joy feels like in your pocket. Sometimes, he gave his wooden bowl to a hungry dog. Other times, he gave his flute to a tree, wedging it between branches, saying, "Now you can sing when I'm gone." He once met a man who had lost everything in a fire. Hote gave him a stone, not to rebuild, not to trade, just to hold. "Something to remember your own light," he whispered. He gave away everything, not to be virtuous, not to be admired, not to be remembered. He gave because he didn't carry the illusion of ownership. He knew something few dared to accept, that when you believe you own nothing, you are finally free from the fear of losing anything. There were no locks in Hote's world, no hoarding, no mine. Even his body, he said, was borrowed. And if the wind wanted his hat, he would bow, hand it over, and say, "Keep your head cool, dear sky." There is a kind of giving that comes from abundance. There is a kind of giving that comes from duty. But Hote's giving was different. It came from presence. It came from wholeness. It came from the understanding that nothing, absolutely nothing, is truly ours. Not the laughter, not the pain, not even the breath. Everything is borrowed. And so, with every village he passed through, he left behind not only trinkets and stones, but a trail of hearts, softened, opened, invited to release their grip on all the things they thought they needed to keep. And perhaps the true miracle was not in what he gave, but in what people let go of just by being near him. Laughter as enlightenment. In the great halls of monasteries, disciples bowed in silence, searching for enlightenment, in the sound of gongs, in the pages of sutras, in the stillness of moonlit nights. They fasted, they recited, they meditated until their legs ached, and their thoughts became smoke. And still, many wondered, when will it come? That flash, that sacred moment, that divine awakening whispered about in scrolls and songs. But in another corner of the world, dusty, laughing, utterly ordinary, there was Hote. He didn't glow with light. He didn't sit cross-legged for hours. He wasn't followed by flute music or carried on the shoulders of devotees. Instead, he stumbled, he snored, he made fart sounds with his lips, and pretended the wind had spoken. He would sneak fruit from market stalls, only to gift it to someone hungrier. And yet, when he laughed, It was like the earth itself softened. People would stop mid-argument, mid-sentence, mid-sigh, and look up, because Hote's laugh was not of this world. It came from some place after sorrow, on the other side of pain, where joy had no explanation and needed none. When someone asked, "What is enlightenment?" he wouldn't answer. He would point to a baby chewing its own foot, or a bird pecking at a worm, completely absorbed in its mission, or the way a puddle reflects the sky, without needing to. And then he would giggle, not to be clever, not to be mysterious, but because everything, absolutely everything, was so ridiculously beautiful and fleeting that the only sane response was laughter. The people who were watching him, expecting to be taught, found themselves smiling. Without understanding why, he turned life into a mirror, not to reflect answers, but to remind us what you are seeking is already happening. Here, in the peel of a fruit, in the sneeze of a child, in the creak of an old bench under the weight of your rest, there is a wisdom that cries in temples. There is a wisdom that walks mountains in silence. And there is a wisdom so deep, so unshakably real, that it laughs at the sacred and the profane alike, because it sees they were never separate to begin with. Hote was not laughing instead of awakening. He was laughing because of it. Because when you let go of needing to look enlightened, you begin to feel the lightness of being alive. He once whispered to an old woman, grieving the loss of her husband, as he handed her a plum, "Joy isn't something we find after sorrow. Sometimes it's what sorrow becomes, when you stop trying to fix it." And then they laughed together, tears falling, fruit shared, no theology, just breath, just life, just this, what the laughing Buddha teaches us. In a world that teaches us to climb, to strive, to analyze, to prove ourselves holy or worthy, there stood Hote, barefoot and grinning, a walking contradiction to seriousness, a dancing flame in a room full of stiff postures and furrowed brows. What did he teach? Not with sermons, not with doctrines, not with finger-wagging or long-winded sutras. No, Hote taught with his belly, his bare feet, his bags of candy, his eyes warm, unafraid, always curious. He taught this, that the mind is a trickster, and sometimes it pretends that enlightenment lives on mountaintops, hidden in riddles or behind golden gates, when in fact, enlightenment is sitting quietly at the base of a tree, watching ants carry a crumb. That you don't have to look serious to be spiritual. That you don't have to understand every verse of every scroll to know what love feels like. That you can be holy and still giggle when someone passes gas in meditation. He reminded us, with every step and every laugh, that awakening is not a weight you must carry on your back, but a breath you were always meant to take. He taught that tears and laughter are not enemies, but siblings, that sadness can turn into softness, and that softness, if left unguarded long enough, can turn into joy. Not a loud, dramatic joy, but the kind of joy that sits beside grief and holds its hand. The kind that walks through the village, not to preach, but to play. That sees a flower and smiles, not because it will last forever, but because it won't. Because part of the miracle is how temporary it all is. Hote taught that you don't need to escape the world to know the truth. You need to enter it fully, lovingly, playfully, to feel the sun on your skin, to share your last piece of bread, to wink at a stranger for no reason, to sit in the middle of a bustling crowd and realize you belong to all of it. He taught that joy is not earned, it is remembered, that you don't have to justify your laughter or perform your sadness, that you can be healing and still dance, that you can be wounded and still laugh, that you can be messy and still be worthy. He was a walking permission slip, a living reminder that maybe we've made the path too difficult, too narrow, too heavy, that maybe, just maybe, we forgot that God or Buddha or the universe is not only in the silence of the temple, but also in the sound of a belly laugh echoing across a dusty road. A soft smile is a spiritual practice. There is a kind of smile that doesn't begin in the lips. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It doesn't need to be seen. It blooms slowly, like mist rising off a morning pond. Quiet, undemanding, profound. This is the smile of the soul, the smile that rises when your heart remembers that it doesn't have to defend itself anymore. It is not forced. It doesn't come because things are perfect. It comes because something within you has finally stopped resisting life. We are taught to be serious, to wear our pain like a badge of depth, to measure our growth in solemnity, to tighten our brow to show that we're doing the work. But Hote, the laughing Buddha, taught otherwise. He walked barefoot through the world and left behind not a single doctrine, but a trail of small smiles that reminded others of the child still inside them. He showed us that a smile, a soft, unprovoked, unearned smile, can be a doorway back to presence. You don't have to recite 1,000 mantras or master the perfect lotus posture to access joy. You only need to pause, to unclench, to loosen the grip of getting it right, and allow your breath to bring the smile back to your face. Not as performance, but as arrival. Smile for no reason. Smile not because everything is healed, but because you've stopped punishing yourself for not being healed yet. That's not distraction. That's wisdom. The smile that rises after you've made peace with your imperfections is the most sacred of all, because it is rooted not in ignorance, but in surrender. When the soul begins to smile, even softly, you begin to hear life differently. You hear music in the silence. You see poetry in dishes waiting to be washed. You feel the divine in the ordinary. Your shoulders drop, your jaw relaxes, and your inner child, so long kept in the basement of adulthood, tiptoes back into the light. This smile is your healing. It's your prayer. It's your temple. No one needs to see it but you. And even then, it's not about seeing. It's about feeling. Feeling that you are no longer at war with yourself. Feeling that you are allowed to be gentle. Feeling that the path doesn't have to hurt to be real. Tonight, as you lie back, as you let your body soften like a petal in the moonlight, let a soft smile rise. Let it meet the corners of your lips. Let it linger quietly behind your closed eyes. Let it hum in your chest like a lullaby you'd forgotten. This is your spiritual practice. Not to fight, not to perform, not to prove, but to smile. Softly, gently, as the Buddha once did. Affirmations of joyful freedom. Say these words slowly, not like you're trying to memorize them, not like you're trying to impress someone, but like you're whispering a forgotten truth to the child still living inside you. Say them not as a chant, but as a permission slip. Let them not echo from the mouth, but unfold from the heart. And as each phrase enters the quiet night, allow your body to receive it, like soft rain on dry soil. I allow joy to rise, even if the world is not perfect. There is no rule that says joy must wait until the bills are paid, until the pain is gone, until the heart is whole again. Joy is not an award given to the most healed. It is a breath freely given to anyone who dares to soften their grip on control. Let it rise, not because everything is fine, but because joy has nothing to do with everything. Joy is the rebellion of the soul against a world that insists you must earn peace. I let go of the need to be serious, to be spiritual. You are allowed to laugh in the temple. You are allowed to dance in the rain without justifying it to your wounds. You are not less wise because you find beauty in the ridiculous. You are not less sacred because you smile at your own mistakes. The soul does not require solemnity. It requires presence. And sometimes, presence giggles. I find freedom in lightness, not in having no pain, but in no longer dragging it behind you like a suitcase of proof. You were never meant to carry the whole world. Not every burden belongs to you. Not every problem needs solving. Lightness is not detachment. It is intimacy without fear. It is walking barefoot on the moment without needing the moment to be different. I let laughter return to my body. Feel that? That tiny flicker in your chest, like a child tapping at the window, asking, "Can I come out now?" That is the sacred sound of laughter knocking. You don't have to be ready. You don't have to be fixed. You just have to be willing. Let it return. Let it tumble down your spine, like the first warm day after a long winter. I do not need to earn joy. I remember it. Joy is not foreign. It's familiar. You just forgot. You got so good at surviving, so good at analyzing, so good at growing, that you forgot the part of you that simply is. The one who used to laugh without knowing why. The one who felt wonder at soap bubbles and mystery in the moonlight. Joy is not a goal. It is a memory, a homecoming, a return. I smile for no reason. And that's the reason. Because life, even in its sorrow, even in its mess, contains something inexplicably beautiful. And when you catch even the smallest scent of it, your lips curve upward without asking permission. Smile for no reason. Let that be your prayer tonight. I am not clinging, I am dancing. Your grip is loosening, not out of despair, but out of wisdom. The tighter you hold, the more pain you create. But when you dance, you trust the rhythm to carry you, and suddenly, everything flows. Even your fear becomes part of the movement. Even your sadness becomes part of the step. You are not bound. You are in motion. You are in rhythm with something larger that needs no name. I am not performing, I am being. Let go of the mask. The mask of I'm fine. The mask of I'm spiritual. The mask of I've figured it out. You don't need it here. This space, this sacred breath, asks for nothing but your honesty. You are not a role. You are not a function. You are not a project. You are a living, breathing being. Enough as you are. Here, now, fully, being, closing the chapter. The laughing Buddha left behind no scriptures, no sutras carved into stone, no temples built in his honor, no strict codes or rules to follow, only echoes, echoes of joy carried in the wind, soft chuckles between raindrops, warmth in the eyes of strangers who once met him, but could never quite explain what changed. He did not leave a legacy of words. He left a vibration, a kind of presence that lingered long after his feet had left the ground. Some say he was a sage. Others say he was a fool. But those who sat quietly after he passed through, they knew he was both, and neither. He was free. And perhaps that is the most radical form of wisdom, to move through life, unburdened by the need to be understood. He gave the world permission to laugh while healing, to play while grieving, to smile even when the sky is gray. He showed us that enlightenment does not require a mountaintop, or a robe, or a name. It only requires presence. playfulness, and the courage to let go. So tonight, as you rest, feel His Spirit nearby, not hovering above you like a saint, but beside you, barefoot, cross-legged, belly jiggling as He laughs softly at the serious thoughts racing through your mind. He whispers with no sound, "You've tried so hard, haven't you?" And His smile says, "You can stop now, because you were never broken, just tired." And joy, the deep kind, isn't something that shows up after you're done suffering. It shows up when you stop making suffering a condition for your worth. Let your body rest. Let the corners of your lips curl upward just a little. Not for show, not because you must, but because your soul remembers how. You don't need a reason to smile. You are the reason. You don't need the world to be perfect. You don't even need your thoughts to be quiet. You only need to let go. Let go of the belief that peace must look a certain way. Let go of the expectation that healing must hurt. Let go of the idea that awakening requires pain. What if joy is the final teaching? What if levity is the most advanced form of presence? What if your laughter is your prayer? Close your eyes. Imagine that cloth sack the laughing Buddha carried. It's empty, and yet it feels so full. What's in it? Nothing and everything. Memories, moments, raindrops, tangerine peels, stories told under trees, sorrow turned to light, tears that turned to laughter without ever being erased. He carried what the world discarded. He gave it back, transformed. You can do that too. You can carry your pain lightly. You can walk barefoot through your day. You can smile at your mistakes and mean it. You can let joy be a quiet rebellion against the heaviness that was never truly yours. So tonight, let it go. Let the performance fall away. Let the voice that says you must be strong go silent. Let the old sadness find its rest, and in its place, feel something softer rise. Not triumph, not completion, but lightness, the lightness of being, the lightness of not needing to be anyone else, the lightness of knowing that joy is holy. Breathe. You have not failed. You have laughed, and in that laugh, you became free. Chapter 20. Lightness is wisdom. There comes a moment in every journey, not with a trumpet, not with a grand unveiling, but with the soft sigh of breath returning to itself. It happens quietly, after the storm has raged, after the tears have dried on your pillow night after night, after you've sat in silence so long it stopped being uncomfortable and started being sacred. It doesn't arrive as a revelation or a grand philosophical breakthrough. It arrives as a giggle, small, almost silly, rising not from your lips, but from somewhere deeper, somewhere beneath the sorrow, somewhere beneath the broken narratives, the striving, the self-fixing. It bubbles up like spring water returning after a long winter. And in that golden laugh, fragile, quiet, true, you don't forget your pain. You remember something older than the pain. You remember that you were never the storm. You remember that even though life has bruised you, you still know how to dance in the sunlight. You remember that you were never asked to carry the world, only your breath, only your presence, only your being. We think wisdom must look heavy. We have inherited an image of wisdom that wears weight like a crown. We imagine the enlightened ones moving slowly, wrapped in silence like a burden. We picture them with solemn eyes, as if joy would discredit their depth. We think suffering makes us more spiritual. We think pain is the rite of passage to peace. We believe wisdom must be heavy, because life has been heavy. But Zen whispers otherwise. Look again. Look at the sky. Does it strain to be vast? Look at the wind. Does it announce its presence before it arrives? Look at a child who bursts into laughter at a cloud shaped like a dragon. Does their joy lack truth because it's light? Lightness is not the opposite of depth. It is depth released from self-importance. It is maturity without tension. It is the realization that the more awake you become, the less you need to appear awake. True wisdom wears no costume. It moves like wind, smiles like sunrise, and dissolves ego like salt in water. You were not meant to carry the whole world. Somewhere along the way, you took on too much. The past, the future, the moods of others, the weight of the entire world on your shoulders. And every time you tried to set it down, a voice inside whispered, "If you let go, everything will fall apart." But that voice, it was never your soul. It was never your truth. You were never meant to carry the stories of everyone you've ever met. You were never required to fix what broke before you arrived. You were never asked to hold what isn't yours. The past, gone. The future, still dreaming you into it. Your task? Breathe. Return. Be. Let yourself float sometimes. Let yourself exist in a moment that doesn't ask for effort. Let yourself walk slowly, as if the day were a poem and your footsteps its rhythm. Let joy touch you like a breeze, and not question if you've earned it. Enlightenment isn't always quiet, sometimes it laughs. Imagine this: a monk in robes dancing barefoot on a stone floor, singing to no one, laughing at the absurdity of seeking what was never lost. Now tell me, is that monk any less enlightened than the one who sits in stillness? There is a kind of sacred awareness that weeps at a sunrise, that sips tea with a grin, that sings out of tune because it can. It doesn't quote scripture. It doesn't post about its awakening. It simply lives, presently, honestly, without needing to prove anything. This wisdom knows, I don't need to improve this moment. I only need to be with it. That's not detachment. That's intimacy. It's not irresponsibility. It's maturity. The kind that knows peace isn't something to maintain like a job. Peace is what flows in when effort takes its first rest. Let go of spiritual perfection. Let's breathe this truth in together. You do not need to be serious all the time to be spiritual. You do not need to glow with flawless energy. You do not need to always say the right thing, feel the right thing, or be the calmest one in the room. Sometimes the most awakened version of you forgets to do the dishes, forgets the mantra, laughs too loud, takes a nap instead of meditating. That version is sacred too. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to say, I don't know. You are allowed to not be wise today, because real awakening makes room for real life. It does not require perfection, only presence. Lightness doesn't mean I don't care. It means I care enough not to suffer over things I cannot change. It means I've healed enough to laugh again. Let yourself rise. Now let us rise, not with effort, not with clenched fists, but with release. You've held the grief long enough. You've honored the sadness. You've walked through your healing storms. Now let go. Let go of the shame that says you're not ready to be happy. Let go of the inner critic still holding a checklist for your worth. Let go of the fear that says healing must be earned. You are allowed to feel good. Not later, not when you're done growing, but now. You are not betraying your depth by feeling light. You are expressing it. You are not escaping pain by smiling. You are transmuting it. And you don't need anyone's permission to rise like dawn into your own joy. Affirmations of spiritual lightness. I am not heavy because the world is. I carry only what is mine to carry. I release the need to prove I've healed. I let go of trying to be perfect to be free. I allow joy to return softly, freely. I allow myself to rest. I allow myself to laugh. I allow myself to be light. I allow wisdom to smile through me. Let these affirmations settle like feathers on your chest. Let them drift down the corridor of your mind and dissolve into presence. Let them show you. Lightness is not weakness. It is sacred trust in the present moment. When you stop clinging, you rise. The moment you unclench your inner fist, you begin to rise. The moment you stop gripping the need to prove yourself, you begin to float. You don't need to walk on water to be holy. You only need to walk lightly, not with arrogance, but with openness. You are enough in your breath. You are sacred in your smile. You are spiritual when you choose joy for no reason. Even the Buddha smiled. Even the mountains laugh when the sun melts their snow. So tonight, you are invited not just to rest, but to rise. Closing the chapter. Lightness is not the opposite of depth. It is depth unburdened. It is the joy that comes when you no longer wait to feel worthy. It is peace that returns when you stop trying to earn it. So tonight, release the heaviness. Release the idea that you must suffer to be spiritual. Release the idea that seriousness equals depth. Let your breath float. Let your chest open. Let joy rise like a lantern from your heart. And know this, you are allowed to smile. You are allowed to feel holy while laughing. You are allowed to dance, to rest, to let go. Because lightness is wisdom, and joy is holy. Chapter 21. The Bell and the Mountain. High above the world, where clouds moved like ancient spirits and air was thin enough to feel sacred, there stood a temple carved into the bones of the mountain. It was not grand in the way cities are grand. It did not glisten with gold or echo with sermons. No, it was quiet, humbly magnificent, wrapped in fog that clung to its stones like memory. Winds whispered here, not to be heard, but to be felt. They carried the scent of pine and the taste of timelessness. In the heart of this temple stood something deeper than sculpture. A bell. Not just any bell. A great bronze sentinel, etched with symbols older than language, resting in its silence like a monk in endless meditation. There was no rope, no hammer, no strike had ever been recorded. The elders spoke of it in hushed tones, not as an object to be used, but as a presence to be revered. They said the bell would not ring until the mountain itself was ready to answer. And until that day came, the silence it held was considered the highest form of teaching. The young monk and the silent bell. A young monk came to this temple seeking more than teachings. He came seeking something he could feel. Not just wisdom in scrolls or lessons in rituals, but an encounter that would reach past his mind and touch his soul. He had studied. He had chanted. He had endured winters and wandered forests. And yet an emptiness followed him, like a shadow. A silence not of peace, but of absence. When he saw the bell for the first time, something stirred within him. It was as if his spirit leaned forward and whispered, "Here, this is it." He approached the great bronze form and stood in its presence, unsure whether he should bow, speak, or simply listen. He watched the bell for hours, waiting for something, anything to happen, in desperation cloaked as reverence. He knelt and whispered, "Give me the answer. Show me the truth. Ring even once, and I'll know I have found it." But the bell did not move. Its silence deepened, not as a rejection, but as an invitation, too loudly to hear. Each day, the young monk returned to the bell. He tried everything. He meditated longer. He recited chants until his voice became wind. He fasted until his body felt like fog. He prostrated until his knees were bruised with devotion. He even began crafting small rituals, lighting incense, washing his hands in melted snow, bowing 100 times, whispering mantras passed down through centuries. But still silence. The bell stood unmoved, as though time itself had paused around it. The stillness became a mirror, and in that mirror, the monk saw his own restlessness. He was not quiet. He was loud inside. So loud, in fact, that he could not hear the very silence he sought. One evening, after many weeks of effort, he no longer had the energy to try. His knees buckled, and he collapsed at the foot of the bell, not in frustration, but in a kind of sacred defeat. He did not cry. He did not scream. He only whispered, "Maybe there is nothing to find. Maybe silence is the answer." And in that moment, he did not listen with his ears. He listened with his being. He became the silence, the echo that never left. As his breath slowed and his effort dissolved, he began to feel something shift. Not in the air, not in the bell, but in himself. It was not a sound in the usual sense. There was no ring, no note, no vibration through the air. And yet something resonated. It was as though the bell was always ringing, but its tone could only be felt by a heart no longer chasing it. The monk understood then. The bell didn't need to be struck to sound. It was the embodiment of soundless wisdom. Its silence was a bell tone, too subtle for noise, too vast for words, too sacred for effort. The monk did not smile. He did not rejoice. He simply breathed and heard the mountain breathe with him. Wisdom comes in the echo, not the strike. We spend so much of our lives trying to strike the bell of awakening. We want to be shaken. We want a sign. We want thunderclaps of clarity and lightning bolts of purpose. We chant louder, meditate harder, seek deeper. But the truth whispered by Zen is simpler, gentler. The bell doesn't need to ring for you to hear it. The mountain doesn't need to speak for you to feel its answer. The resonance is already here. The echo has never left. It's not waiting for you to find it. It's waiting for you to stop looking so loudly. Sometimes, the reason you cannot hear your life speak is because you're trying too hard to force it to. Stillness is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of everything already vibrating beneath your thoughts. You are the bell. And now, here comes the deeper truth. The reason the monk connected with the bell, the reason he heard what no ear can hear, is because he was the bell all along. And so are you. You keep waiting for someone to come and awaken you, to strike your life into meaning, to hit you with purpose, to tell you who you are. But no one needs to ring you awake. You are the bell. You are the silence before sound. You are the deep vibration beneath all seeking. There is nothing to hit, nothing to chase, no sign to force, only presence, only pause, only awareness that you have always been ringing. And in your stillness, others will feel the echo too. Affirmations for deep listening. I let go of seeking what is already within. I allow stillness to reveal what effort cannot. I trust silence more than noise. I do not need to be struck to awaken. I am the bell. I am the echo. I am the mountain that answers without words. These are not affirmations to chant with urgency. They're invitations to whisper to your soul like wind through pine. Let them settle into the still air of your being until the echo of truth grows so gentle you remember it was never missing. Closing the chapter. The young monk never again asked the bell to ring. He stopped needing it to prove anything. Instead, he rose each morning, wrapped himself in silence, and walked to the bell not as a seeker, but as a listener. He would sit beneath it, close his eyes, and simply be. And in that sacred being, he felt the bell without hearing it. He heard the truth without needing words. He touched the mountain without moving. And maybe That is what peace truly is. Not a sound you chase, but an echo that finds you once you stop running. So now, as you lie here, let yourself listen, not with your ears, with your whole presence. There is a bell within you. It has always been ringing. It just needed you to be still enough to feel it again. Chapter 22. Your soul remembers the way. There are nights long, quiet nights, when weariness seeps deeper than muscle and bone. It touches something tender, something ancient, not the tiredness of work or noise, but a sacred fatigue that comes from a lifetime of searching. Have you felt it? That ache, not from climbing hills, but from climbing questions? That longing, not for places, but for peace? That subtle, aching emptiness that whispers, if only someone, something, would show me where I belong. Tell me I've arrived. Tell me I'm finally home. And yet, somewhere in the stillness beyond that ache, there lives a softer truth. It does not speak in thunder. It doesn't shout over your fears. It doesn't argue with your sadness. It simply rests, like a hand placed gently on your chest, and says, you were never lost. You only forgot how deeply known you already are. The map was never outside you. We live in a world obsessed with maps. Maps for success, maps for healing, maps for growth, blueprints for how to be a better version of yourself. We're taught to look for these maps everywhere. In books, in mentors, in algorithms, in doctrines, in 5-step plans. And while they can be helpful, they can also distract us from the oldest map of all, the one etched into your bones, scribed into the rhythm of your breath, woven into the architecture of your being, long before you ever took your first step. What if the truth you seek isn't something you need to learn, but something you're here to remember? What if your soul already knows the way, not because it studied it, but because it is the way? Imagine this. Before you were born, before you took your first breath, before you spoke your first word, there was already a knowing inside you. A compass made not of magnets or needles, but of stillness and presence. It doesn't need directions. It doesn't fear the unknown. It only waits for you to slow down, to listen again, to remember. When you forget, be still. There will be moments, many of them, when the path disappears beneath your feet. You will panic. You will doubt. You will ask the air, where am I going? You will look around and feel like everyone else has a map except you. But in that moment, what you need is not answers. You need stillness. Be still, like a pond waiting for the ripples to settle. Be still, like the moon, waiting for the clouds to drift past. Be still, like the forest that speaks only when the wind hushes. Because in the stillness, a soft knowing stirs within you. It is not loud. It is not logical. It is not even in words. It whispers only, this breath, this moment, this way. No need to run, no need to strive, no need to ask 10 people what your purpose is. Just breathe, just listen, just be still long enough for the path to rise up and meet your feet. Your soul was never confused. The mind, the mind is a chatterbox. It loves clarity, definitions, certainty, forecasts. It panics in the fog. It spins stories out of doubt. It whispers fears in the night. But the soul does not panic. The soul does not get confused when you change plans. The soul does not collapse when things fall apart. The soul does not need proof. The soul watches. It observes. It breathes. And it waits, not for everything to make sense, but for you to remember that clarity isn't something you force. It is something that returns When noise leaves the room, you never left the path. The soul says, you were simply learning how to walk it. Even when you stumbled, even when you paused, even when you cried in frustration, you were not off course. You were in the classroom of return. You were learning what only the journey can teach. Even sadness was a step forward. It's easy to believe that grief slowed you down. That heartbreak was a detour. That depression made you fall behind. But sadness isn't the enemy of progress. It's the soil in which your compassion grew roots. Loss wasn't a mistake. It was an opening, a deep cut that made space for empathy, a rupture that birthed tenderness. Silence wasn't abandonment. It was the clearing of noise so you could finally hear your inner voice. Every dark valley you passed through, every tear that soaked your pillow, every sleepless night you survived was not evidence that you had failed, but that you were becoming. Each shadow you faced was part of your sacred return. You didn't fall behind. You fell inward. Let yourself be guided from within. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to perform wisdom. You don't need a perfect timeline. You don't need to prove you're progressing fast enough. All you need is this: a moment of breath, a seed of trust, a pause that says, I may not know the next step, but I trust the step will know me. The path does not belong to the hurried. It doesn't appear to those who chase it. It unfolds beneath the feet of the still. It reveals itself to the gentle. Because your soul doesn't scream directions. It hums lullabies. It speaks in goosebumps. It moves in quiet urges. And it always knows the way. Affirmations for remembering the way. I am not lost, I am being guided. I trust the wisdom within me. I walk with presence, not pressure. I allow my soul to lead. I am not behind, I am in perfect timing. I carry the compass of peace in my chest. I walk gently. I remember who I am. My soul remembers the way home. Repeat these like soft candles lit in the night. Let them flicker through your chest until the light becomes familiar again. You are not trying to become the light. You are simply dusting off the lamp you've always carried. Closing the chapter. You do not have to force your journey. You don't have to bend the timeline. You don't have to conquer the dark. Just breathe. Just walk. Just trust. Even now, as you listen, as the weight of the day loosens its grip, somewhere deep within you, your soul is humming. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are simply returning, one silent step at a time, one breath, one gaze into the mirror of now. You don't need to be fixed. You only need to be felt. You don't need a perfect plan. You only need to trust that stillness is wise. Because the truth is simple, and always has been. Your soul remembers the way. It never forgot. It was just waiting for you to stop searching long enough to remember. Chapter 23, The Master and the Mirror. There once lived a quiet master, not the kind who spoke in riddles or held ceremonies before crowds, but the kind whose silence spoke louder than words, whose presence felt like shade in a burning desert, and whose wisdom came not from books, but from watching the wind pass through trees. Wherever he went, through sun-washed temples, crumbling village paths, or deep emerald forests that smelled of earth and moss, he carried a small, round mirror. It wasn't flashy or ornamental. It bore no golden carvings, no jade inlays, no sacred mantras. Just a simple disc of glass, wrapped in soft, worn silk, its edges dulled by time and polished with meticulous care. He held it gently, not out of vanity, but reverence. Not as a possession, but as a companion. Not for himself, but for others. Curiously, he never once looked into it himself. Not even to adjust his robes or study the lines of age on his face. He never glanced at it to admire his smile or ponder his wrinkles. Instead, he offered it, quietly, softly, without judgment or explanation, to monks who had lost their way, to travelers seeking purpose, to children who asked strange, beautiful questions. He would unwrap the mirror with care and offer it to them like a priest offering a relic or a mother handing over the last piece of bread. But never, not once, did he lift the mirror to his own eyes. A student approaches. One quiet morning, when dew still painted the leaves and the earth smelled like dreams not yet lived, a young student found the master sitting under the wide branches of a Bodhi tree. The mirror rested in his lap, silent and still, catching flecks of soft morning light. The student, earnest and curious, approached slowly, hesitating before speaking, as if afraid to disturb whatever invisible conversation the master was having with the moment. "Master," the student asked, finally breaking the hush, "why do you carry that mirror everywhere?" His voice was filled with genuine wonder, not mockery, and his eyes, though young, held the hunger of someone who had searched for truth across too many books and too few silences. "Are you afraid," the student continued, "that you'll forget what you look like?" The master smiled, a small, serene smile that curved like the moon rising from still water. "No," he said, with a voice that moved like a breeze through bamboo. "I carry it so that others may see what they've forgotten." And in that single sentence, the first door opened. Seeing through illusion. With permission, the student bent down and peered into the mirror. But what he saw confused him. It was his face, but not. It flickered. One moment, the image was proud and full of importance. The next, it looked small, burdened with shame. Then joyful, then afraid, then curious, then angry. Shifting like clouds over the sun. He blinked, rubbed his eyes. Still, the face changed with every thought that passed through his mind. "Why does the reflection change?" he asked, a tremble in his voice. The master's eyes twinkled. "Because you're not looking with stillness," he said. "You're looking through thought." He continued, gently, "This mirror doesn't show you who you pretend to be. It doesn't show you the mask you wear for the world. It doesn't care for titles or self-image or appearances. It reflects what you believe you are and the thoughts that color that belief." The student fell silent. He realized the mirror was not just a surface of glass. It was a teaching. It was a revelation. The dust of identity. The master lifted the mirror, holding it just beneath the sunlight. Its surface gleamed, but only in parts. "You see," he said, his voice like a soft bell, "we come into this world as mirrors, pure, clear, reflecting everything without judgment. But over time, dust gathers. Not physical dust," he explained, "but the dust of identity. Labels clever and cruel, memories some painful, some glorified, opinions our own and those of others, wounds unhealed and still bleeding, stories both true and imagined. And soon," the master said, "we begin to mistake the dust for ourselves. We say, 'I am the shame. I am the failure. I am the praise. I am the success.' But that's not the truth," he whispered. "The mirror isn't broken. It's just covered." And so the student humbled sat. He placed his palms on his knees. He closed his eyes. He let his breath slow. And he waited. Not for answers, but for stillness. He didn't try to wipe the mirror clean. He simply let the dust settle. And when the waves of thought calmed, so did his reflection. And in that rare silence, he saw something he had long forgotten. A face that had never needed to be fixed. You are not the reflection, you are the space beneath it. We spend most of our lives trying to improve the image we see in the mirror. We chase better versions of ourselves. A more successful look, a happier expression, a more enlightened identity. We wear our smiles like armor. We polish our achievements and hide our shadows. We present an image that says, "This is who I am." But Zen quietly asks a different question. What if you are not the image at all? What if you are not the smile, not the sorrow, not even the clarity? What if you are not the reflection, but the awareness behind it? The mirror may show emotions. It may flicker with identities. It may twist under the weight of thought. But who watches all of this? Who observes the changing images? That is who you are. Not the drama, not the dust, not even the reflection, but the sacred space in which it all arises. The space that is never touched, never harmed, never lost, only forgotten. No mirror can show you the truth, only stillness can. One day, after many seasons passed, the master placed the mirror into the student's hands. The student looked at him with reverence. "Should I carry it now?" he asked. The master shook his head softly. "Only until you realize," he said, "you were never seeing your face. You were seeing your mind. When you stop looking for yourself in mirrors and reflections, in opinions, in images, you'll begin to feel yourself in stillness." And with those words, the mirror cracked. Not from anger, not from force, but from clarity, like ice melting under morning sun. It was no longer needed. The student did not mourn its loss. He simply bowed his head and closed his eyes. And in the silence that followed, he realized the mirror had never been outside him. It had always been the witness within. Affirmations for true seeing. I do not need to improve the mirror. I need to clear the dust. I am not the changing image. I am the stillness beneath it. I release false identities and return to presence. I do not seek myself through thought. I find myself through silence. I am not lost. I am beneath the noise. I do not need mirrors to know who I am. I am already whole. Repeat these not as instructions, but as soft reminders. Let them sink like water into soil, slow, quiet, deep. There is no rush. There is only returning. Closing the chapter. The master rose and walked away, not leaving footprints, only silence. And the student remained seated beneath the tree. His eyes were closed. His mind no longer searching. His heart no longer heavy. He no longer needed a mirror. He had seen himself not in glass, but in the pause between thoughts, in the breath that needed no name, in the stillness that asked for nothing in return. And in that stillness, he remembered the most ancient truth of all. I am not what I see. I am what watches. Chapter 24. Nothing is missing. Take a deep breath now. Not just the kind you've taken 1,000 times today without noticing, but a conscious breath, a sacred one, the kind of breath that says to the universe, I am here, I am listening, I am ready to remember. And as you slowly exhale, let it carry away everything you are holding on to, not with force, just with permission. Let go of the effort. Let go of the reaching. Let go of the subtle tension in your brow, your chest, your stomach. That tension that whispers, I need to be more, I need to be better, I need to change. Feel it fall now, like a dry leaf finally releasing its grip from the branch. There is no storm, no struggle, just gravity and trust. And as that tension falls, feel what quietly rises in its place. A stillness, a warmth, a sacred whisper from within. You are not broken. You are not missing anything. You are here, and here is enough. Let those words soak into you, not just as a thought, but as a remembering, as something your soul always knew, but your mind forgot in the noise of the world. The greatest lie is, I need more. For years, maybe decades, you were taught the same lie. That peace lives just ahead. That happiness is a destination. That you must become, improve, achieve, accumulate. That something about now is insufficient. It was subtle. It wore many masks. Success, perfection, healing, productivity, even spirituality. You were taught that your joy was waiting for you in the next version of you. The one who finally figured it all out. The one who healed their childhood wounds. The one who stopped overthinking. The one who became enlightened. But the truth is gentler and more powerful. Peace was never ahead of you. It was never at the top of the mountain. It was beneath you, like the quiet, unmoving earth beneath a traveler's restless feet. You didn't need to find more. You didn't need to earn your worth. You didn't need to become someone else. You only needed to stop, to pause, to feel what was already here, already whole, already sacred. Nothing was ever missing, only your awareness of what had always been present. The mind wants a destination, the soul wants to rest. The mind is a map maker. It's always charting, calculating, predicting, fixing. It believes that peace is something to arrive at. It asks, when will I finally be okay? When will this pain end? When will I feel like I'm enough? It wants time to deliver healing. It wants a future where all the questions are answered. But the soul is different. The soul is not concerned with timelines or checklists. It doesn't care if you've read enough books or done enough inner work. It whispers things the mind cannot comprehend. Come home now. Inhale now. Be here now. Because the soul already knows. Now is the only place where nothing is missing. The soul doesn't crave arrival. It longs for return. Return to presence. Return to being. Return to peace that doesn't need to be earned, only remembered. And when you listen, you'll find that even in your most chaotic moments, there was always a place inside you that was still, like the eye of a storm. It was never far away. It was always waiting. Stop fixing. Start being. You have tried so hard to fix yourself. You've read the books, listened to the talks, healed the inner child, forgiven the past, visualized the future, improved the body, upgraded the mindset, chased the light, and all of that was beautiful, necessary even. But now, a different invitation. What if your next chapter is not about fixing, but surrendering? What if you no longer need to transform, but to rest in the truth of who you already are? What if the next step is not to become better, but to become still? You are not a project. You are not a task. You are not a problem to be solved. You are a being, a sacred presence, a flicker of consciousness wrapped in breath and softness and stardust. And in this moment, this exact, imperfect moment, with your doubts, your scars, your tangled thoughts, you are enough. You don't have to try so hard. You don't have to reach anymore. Just be. That is the doorway to everything. Even the empty spaces are sacred. There are parts of you that still feel unfinished. Questions that echo unanswered. Emotions that swell without reason. Longings that ache without direction. And yet these are not signs of failure. They are signs of life. The unfinished spaces within you are not voids to be filled. They are portals. The questions are not walls. They are doors. The emotions are not flaws. They are teachers. And the space, the holy, quiet space inside you, that's not something broken. That's the altar, the sacred ground, the temple where truth arrives without needing words. And it's only when you stop running, when you sit quietly in that empty room within, that you finally hear what silence was always singing. Affirmations of wholeness. Let these words settle into your breath, into your bones, into the spaces behind your eyes and beneath your ribs. I am whole in this moment. I do not need to chase peace. I return to it. I am not missing anything. I allow myself to rest in enoughness. I do not need to earn what is already mine. I let go of fixing, and I begin to feel. I am already home. I am already free. Say them in your mind. Whisper them aloud if you can. Feel their warmth spread through your body, like morning sun through a window. Let them become the lullaby your inner child never heard. Let them fill in the silence between your thoughts with something gentle and eternal. You don't have to believe them yet. Just let them rest beside you. They'll do the work on their own. You are the answer you were looking for. All this time, you asked the stars for signs. You searched for wisdom in books and teachers. You begged the universe for guidance. You longed for someone to rescue you from your own heaviness. But now, after all the seeking, after all the trying, you realize something quietly breathtaking. It was always you, not the wounded version of you, not the polished, enlightened version of you. Just you in stillness, you in breath, you in presence. You are the answer. You are the guide. You are the one you've been waiting for. You carried the lantern through every dark chapter. You were the light, even when you couldn't see it. You were the strength, even when you felt weak. You were the grace, even in your mess. You were never truly lost. You only forgot to turn inward. And now, you remember. You are not missing anything. You never were. Closing the chapter. There is nothing left to chase tonight. No goal to strive toward. No identity to polish. No version of you that needs to be more. This is not a moment of doing. This is a moment of undoing. Let the body soften. Let the breath guide you inward. Let presence wrap around you like a warm blanket after a cold day. You are returning, not to something new, but to something ancient within you. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be felt. You don't need to climb higher. You need to land. Let this truth settle deep in your bones. Nothing is missing, and nothing ever was. You are enough. You are whole. You are home. Chapter 25, Closing Blessing. You were always the light. Close your eyes now, dear soul. Let the eyelids grow heavy, like velvet curtains drawn slowly at the end of a sacred play. Let your body begin to soften, not all at once, but in gentle waves starting with the face, then the shoulders, then the chest. Feel your breath begin to slow, like the ocean tide returning home after a long journey across the world. Each inhale, a whisper. Each exhale, a release. There is nothing left to seek tonight. You've walked with sadness. You've danced with silence. You've listened to stories not just with your ears, but with your soul. And now you arrive at the softest place of all. Not a mountaintop, not a temple far away, not a perfect version of you, but yourself right here, right now. The quietest miracle, the one who has been here all along. You were never broken. All the healing you once chased, the spiritual books, the long meditations, the silent tears cried in dark rooms, all those moments you believed you needed to be fixed, to be made whole, to be put back together, they have already begun their work, but not in the way you imagine. Not because the pain has been erased, but because you finally stopped running from it. You did the bravest thing any soul can do. You sat beside your pain. You didn't demand it change. You didn't silence it with noise or distraction. You simply stayed. You listened. You breathed. You allowed it to exist without shame. And in that sacred silence, something golden emerged. Not from outside, but from within you. A light, soft, unwavering, gently flickering beneath the ache. This light is not the absence of pain. It is the presence of truth. You are not broken, dear soul. You are becoming. You are molting the layers that no longer belong. Shedding skins of shame, layers of labels, weights you were never meant to carry. And beneath all of that, there you are. Radiant, whole, becoming. The path was never outside you. How far you've traveled. How many nights you whispered to the sky, please, show me the way. You searched temples made of stone and books made of wisdom. You chased meanings in stars, signs in dreams, reassurance in voices. But all this time, the journey was folding inward, not outward like a path winding through a distant forest, but inward, like petals closing gently around the center of a flower. The road was not leading you away. It was bringing you back to the place where no map is needed, back to the still flame behind your breath. The mind told you the light was ahead, but the soul knew it was within. You were not lost. You were returning to the ancient quiet, to the soft center, to the you that was never missing. You can let go now. You do not need to try so hard anymore. You do not need to carry the burden of perfection. You do not need to perform peace. You do not need to hold yourself together with trembling hands. It is safe now to rest. It is safe now to fall apart. And it is safe now to let go. Let the thoughts fall one by one, like autumn leaves released from branches, no longer willing to hold them. Let the pressure slide off your shoulders. You were never meant to carry that weight alone. Place down the sadness. Place down the stories. Place down the endless inner dialogue that says, I must do more. Lay it beside you, like stones at the edge of the river. You do not need them to cross anymore. You've already arrived. And in this place, notice how light you truly are. Not because you changed, but because you stopped pretending to be heavy. You are the light you were searching for. How long you looked for it? That guide, that solution, that beacon to lead you from the darkness. You begged the sky. You pleaded with the universe. You cried into the pillow at 3 a.m., asking, when will the light finally come? But now, as you rest in this sacred stillness, you see what was true all along. You were not waiting for a star. You were remembering that you are one. Even in your grief, you glowed. Even in your silence, you shimmered. Even in your confusion, your light remained. It flickered, yes. It dimmed, yes. But it never left you. You were always the light. You just forgot how to see yourself shine. And now, as the noise falls away, you remember. The light was never a destination. It was your reflection all along. Let the night receive you. Let the night take you in. Not with force, but like the ocean opening its arms to the sky. The stars do not strive to shine. They do not earn their place in the heavens. They simply do. Quietly, effortlessly, beautifully. And so do you. You do not need to qualify for rest. You do not need to convince the world that you've done enough to deserve peace. Let it come to you now, like rain on dry soil, like grace without condition, like a child falling asleep in the lap of eternity. You are safe. You are seen. You are sacred. You are not forgotten. You are not too much. You are not late. You are loved. Let it all go. Let the night carry it for you. Angel, final affirmations, whispered into sleep. Let these words become your lullaby, spoken not to the mind, but to the soul behind it. I am whole even with my imperfections. I am safe even in the unknown. I am guided even when I cannot see. I am enough even when I do nothing. I release the day it has served its purpose. I release the past. It no longer holds me. I release the need to fix myself. I am allowed to simply be. I am not lost. I am returning. I am not broken. I am becoming. I am not behind. I am in perfect time. I am not empty. I am the light I was searching for. Feel those words settle. Let them nest in your chest like doves returning home. No resistance, just receiving. Fade into stillness. Let everything fall away now, the images, the thoughts, the effort. Let your breath soften like moonlight over still water. Let your body melt like wax beneath a slow burning flame. Let your heart beat slow to the rhythm of eternity. This night does not ask you to be anything but yourself. Not a thinker, not a doer, just a soul resting. You've traveled through sorrow and found joy resting beneath it. You've crossed through silence and heard your truest voice whisper within it. You've searched for light and found it blooming from your own center. Now let sleep carry you, not away, but inward, deeper and deeper into the truth of who you are. Final blessing. May your sleep tonight be deep, not just in hours, but in healing. May your dreams be kind, soft gardens of renewal. May your breath be light, carried by peace, not pressure. May your soul rise like mist from the earth and rest among the stars. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not broken. You are the temple that holds the sacred. You are the bell that never needed to ring. You are the silence between all things. You are the story. You are the stillness. You are the watcher. You are the light. You were always the light. Now close your eyes. Let peace gather in the corners of your being. Let stillness kiss your forehead like morning dew. Let joy return like breath after a long pause. Sleep well, dear soul. Sleep gently. Sleep fully. You are home. You are free. You are loved. Good night. Good night. Good night.